Time spent alone enhances self-awareness and creative problem-solving. Sigma males harness this to refine their goals, habits, and mindset. They don't waste energy trying to impress. Instead, they channel that energy into mastering skills, building financial independence, or learning new disciplines, whether it's coding, fitness, or philosophy. Time alone gives them clarity. They're not distracted by social expectations or emotional turbulence. Research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology shows that self-reflective solitude is associated with increased emotional regulation and reduced stress. Sigma males use this solitude to sharpen their focus and elevate their emotional intelligence. They also become more magnetic. Why? Because mystery is magnetic. In a world full of oversharing, a man who moves silently and confidently sparks curiosity. That unpredictability becomes power. And here's the kicker. They don't just grow, they transcend. By refusing to conform, they cultivate a rare energy that makes them immune to societal pressure and more in tune with their authentic self. So, while others fear being alone, Sigma males thrive in it. Their solitude isn't empty, it's empowering. That's why the longer a Sigma male is single, the more powerful he becomes. Number 1, he taps into total freedom. Freedom isn't just about doing what you want, it's about discovering who you are at the core. For a Sigma male, being single isn't a period of lack, it's a period of liberation. When he's free of romantic obligations, he doesn't simply have time, he owns it. There are no calendars to sync, no compromises to make, no emotional labor to manage for someone else. Every hour is his to shape, and that autonomy is gold to the Sigma. Sigma males are naturally introspective, and solitude isn't loneliness, it's fuel. According to a 2022 study published in Personality and Individual Differences, individuals who embrace solitude tend to have higher levels of self-reflection and personal growth. That's Sigma 101. Without relationship constraints, he doesn't just function, he thrives. Want to move across the country for a better job? Done. Want to spend 2 weeks in the forest learning survival skills? Absolutely. Need a year to write a book or master Japanese? Let's go. This freedom isn't about escapism, it's about alignment. Without the need to please, impress, or compromise, Sigma males can focus their energy on self-mastery. They're not chasing dates, they're chasing excellence. And science backs this up. Maslow's hierarchy of needs places self-actualization at the top, where a person seeks to fulfill their full potential. That's exactly what a Sigma male is wired for when he's flying solo. He's not avoiding relationships out of fear. He's choosing independence out of purpose. That distinction matters. While society often pressures men to settle down as a sign of maturity, the Sigma quietly redefines what fulfillment looks like. His freedom is not about rejecting love, but about making room for something deeper, self-evolution. In this sense, his life becomes a canvas. He is the artist, the brush, his choices. Every stroke counts and nothing is wasted. He's not free to be careless, he's free to be deliberate, and that's the difference. So when a Sigma male is single, he's not waiting for love. He's building a life so rich, love would have to be extraordinary to be let in. Number 2, his mind becomes a weapon. Let's be real, Sigmas. When you're not bogged down by relationship drama, emotional turmoil, or the dopamine chaos of endless texting, something remarkable happens. Your mind sharpens. You shift from reacting to life to engineering it. A single Sigma male becomes a walking upgrade. While others burn hours swiping or chasing validation, he's deep into books, podcasts, and purposeful thinking. And this isn't random consumption. This is strategic learning. Think of it like updating your mental operating system daily. Whether it's Naval Ravikant on wealth and happiness or Cal Newport on deep work, he feeds his brain with high-performance fuel. Research backs this up. According to a 2019 study published in the journal Intelligence, solitude is often linked with higher cognitive engagement, particularly in men who are introverted and introspective. These individuals tend to pursue solitary activities like reading, writing, and planning, habits that directly boost critical thinking and emotional regulation. Solitude becomes the Sigma's laboratory. In that quiet space, he reflects on past choices, dissects future goals, and aligns his actions with long-term strategy. He's not escaping the world, he's mastering it from behind the curtain. And here's where it gets interesting. When he finally steps into the room, people feel it. He doesn't flood conversations with noise. He speaks with intention. Every word, every move carries purpose. It's not just charisma, it's presence. The kind you can't fake, the kind forged in solitude. People notice, but they can't quite explain it. He doesn't fit the mold. He's calm in chaos, confident in silence, unpredictable but grounded. That mystique? It's not luck. It's the product of deliberate self-construction. So while others chase attention, the Sigma male sharpens his focus. He builds in the shadows until the world has no choice but to notice the light. That's the Sigma advantage. Number 3, he levels up his physical presence. No clingy dates to skip the gym for, no late-night drama draining his energy reserves. When a Sigma male is single, he's not wasting time. He's building power. This isn't about vanity, it's about mastery. Sigma males understand that their body is the vessel through which all action flows. Biologically, exercise increases testosterone, improves focus, boosts mood, and strengthens resilience, traits that align perfectly with the Sigma's self-reliant lifestyle. According to the American Psychological Association, consistent physical activity improves not just physical health, but also executive functioning, like planning and decision-making, 2 things Sigmas excel at. Every workout becomes a meditation. Every disciplined meal is a vote for the man he's becoming. He's sculpting his body not for likes or validation, but because control over self is power. His wardrobe, intentional, streamlined, not flashy but sharp. Because dressing well isn't about ego, it's about energy. Studies show that dressing purposefully can increase self-confidence and perceived competence. Sigma males use this knowledge not to dominate, but to align their external presence with their internal purpose. And here's the paradox. He's not doing it to attract attention. But that very independence, that unapologetic self-focus is magnetic. It's human psychology 101. We're wired to be drawn to those who don't seek our approval. The less he chases, the more others look. And when he walks into a room with upright posture, calm composure, and a look that says he's been somewhere, even if he hasn't said a word, the energy shifts. Because confidence isn't loud, strength doesn't boast, and discipline doesn't need a spotlight. When a Sigma male is single, he's not waiting. He's working, he's refining, he's radiating a kind of energy that can't be faked, because it's built in the quiet moments when no one's watching. And that's when everyone starts paying attention. Number 4, he builds emotional intelligence, alone. Funny thing is, most people assume emotional growth only happens in the context of relationships, that you need a partner to uncover your weaknesses, trigger your insecurities, and help you grow. But Sigma males, we know better. Here's the twist. Solitude doesn't hinder emotional growth, it supercharges it. When you're single, you're not dodging hard truths behind romantic distractions. You're standing in front of the metaphorical mirror, face to face with your unfiltered self. There's no one to blame when your insecurities flare up. No partner to project your frustrations onto, just you and the raw, uncomfortable truth. And that's where the magic happens. Psychologists call this self-confrontation, and it's one of the most powerful tools for emotional development. A 2016 study in the Journal of Personality found that people who actively engage in self-reflection show increased emotional intelligence and resilience. This means they understand their emotions better and bounce back from setbacks faster. Sigma males naturally gravitate toward this path. We don't just sit in silence, we thrive in it. Every trigger we feel is an opportunity for analysis. Every lonely night is a chance to understand our inner workings more deeply. And every fear we face alone becomes a muscle we strengthen. This solo journey builds something no relationship can offer: emotional sovereignty. And when you step back into the world, whether into friendships, work, or even love, you're not needy, reactive, or codependent. You're grounded, calm under pressure, a man who knows himself so well that nothing external can destabilize him. That's emotional strength forged in solitude. That's the Sigma advantage. So the next time someone assumes you're missing out by being single, smile. Because while they're outsourcing their emotional growth, you're mastering yours, one silent, powerful moment at a time. Number 5, he learns to love without needing. Here's the twist. The Sigma male doesn't avoid love, he just doesn't need it to function. That's a game changer in a world that often equates worth with relationship status. The Sigma male, often described as the lone wolf, thrives in solitude not because he's emotionally unavailable, but because he's emotionally self-sufficient. This independence allows him to approach love from a place of wholeness rather than lack. In psychology, this aligns with the concept of secure attachment. He's not anxiously seeking validation, nor is he avoidant. He's grounded. The longer he remains single, the clearer he sees the distinction between attachment and affection. Attachment often stems from fear. Fear of being alone, fear of being unloved. Affection, however, is freely given without strings or desperation. It's presence without pressure. And here's where it gets deeper. He learns to differentiate neediness, a craving for someone to fill a void, from presence, which is about fully showing up for another person without expecting them to complete you. This mindset isn't just attractive, it's powerful. When a Sigma gives love, it's intentional. It's not a reflex to loneliness or social expectation, it's a conscious choice. He doesn't chase affection, he evaluates it. He doesn't settle just to check a box, he selects with clarity. This mindset makes him incredibly rare in today's fast-paced dating culture. In a world filled with performative affection and surface-level connections, his quiet confidence and deliberate love stand out. Studies show that people are naturally drawn to those who exude autonomy and authenticity, two traits the Sigma male has in abundance. That's why he's irresistible. He doesn't just offer love, he offers depth. And when he chooses someone, it's not because he needs them, but because he sees their value clearly. In the end, the Sigma male doesn't reject love, he elevates it. Number 6, he masters the art of detachment. Detachment isn't about coldness or shutting off from emotions, it's about clarity and control. Unlike impulsive reactions driven by anxiety or jealousy, detachment empowers you to observe situations without being overwhelmed. This distinction is key to understanding the mindset of a Sigma male, especially the single Sigma who has mastered this art. When most people receive a text that's ambiguous or wait anxiously for a reply, they spiral into overthinking. They analyze every word, decode every emoji, and sometimes imagine the worst scenarios. Similarly, subtle social cues, a glance, a smile, or a pause in conversation, become triggers for insecurity or jealousy. This emotional roller coaster creates a dependency on others' attention for validation and self-worth. The Sigma male, however, approaches these interactions differently. Detachment means he isn't a prisoner to his emotions, he uses them as tools. He experiences feelings fully but doesn't let them dictate his actions. This gives him remarkable clarity. Instead of reacting impulsively, he observes the dynamics objectively. He reads the room, gauges the energy, and understands when it's best to engage and when it's wiser to step back. Scientific studies on emotional intelligence reveal that individuals who practice healthy detachment manage stress better and make decisions that align with their long-term goals. They exhibit resilience, self-awareness, and a calm demeanor, qualities that naturally draw respect from others. Because he's not addicted to attention or approval, the Sigma male maintains independence. He's comfortable being alone and doesn't fear silence or solitude. This freedom unsettles people who rely on constant social validation because it's a form of power, the power to walk away without fear or regret. In essence, detachment is a strength, not a weakness. It commands respect because it reflects mastery over oneself. When others panic or cling to fleeting emotions, the Sigma remains steady, clear-headed, and in control. That's why detachment is a defining trait of the Sigma male. It's the balance of emotional depth with strategic clarity. Number 7, he becomes mysteriously attractive. Let's face it, mystery is magnetic. Throughout history, people have been drawn to those who carry an air of enigma. Think of the elusive artist, the quiet genius, or the lone wolf who walks his own path. Among modern personality archetypes, the Sigma male embodies this magnetic mystery like no other. What makes Sigmas so intriguing? It's their independence and self-reliance. Unlike others who constantly seek validation through social media likes or relationship updates, Sigma males operate on a different wavelength. They don't feel the need to broadcast their lives or chase attention. In fact, they often fly under the radar, choosing solitude and self-development over external approval. This absence of oversharing creates an aura of intrigue that naturally pulls others in. Psychologically, humans are wired to be curious about what they can't easily understand. This is called the curiosity gap. When something is partly unknown, it captivates our attention and drives us to seek answers. Sigma males, with their quiet confidence and mysterious demeanor, create exactly this gap. They don't hand out their stories. Instead, they let people wonder, question, and speculate. This makes them endlessly fascinating and irresistible in social dynamics. Another key trait of Sigmas is their emotional autonomy. They're not controlled by societal expectations or the need to fit in, which gives them a calm, steady presence that stands out. Because they aren't constantly in the spotlight, when they do choose to reveal parts of themselves, it feels rare and valuable. So while many chase the fleeting buzz of social approval, Sigmas quietly disappear and evolve, letting their authentic selves grow in the background. And ironically, the very mystery they maintain becomes a beacon, attracting others naturally. They are the enigma everyone wants to solve but never quite can, and in that lies their power. Number 8, he develops an unbreakable mission. When you remove all the distractions, the noise, the chaos, the meaningless clutter, your mission becomes crystal clear. This is the core strength of a Sigma male. Unlike others who may seek validation or approval from the crowd, a Sigma thrives in solitude. His alone time isn't wasted. It's a powerful tool that fuels his purpose. Research in psychology supports this. Solitude can significantly enhance creativity, focus, and self-awareness. When alone, the Sigma male can reflect deeply on his goals, plan strategically, and develop the discipline needed to master his craft. Whether he's building a business, honing an art form, or reshaping the world around him, every quiet moment sharpens his sense of why he's here. Unlike aimless wandering, a Sigma's solitude is deliberate. His purpose becomes his compass, guiding his every action. Neuroscientific studies show that having a clear purpose activates the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine, which fuels motivation and persistence. This makes a man with purpose truly formidable. And here's the truth. When a man is driven by a profound why, he is not just surviving, he's hunting. He moves with intention, clarity, and relentless focus. He is the kind of man who doesn't need to shout his ambitions from the rooftops because his actions speak volumes. This level of focus and self-mastery makes the Sigma male one of the most dangerous forces in any arena, from business to art to life itself. So next time you find yourself overwhelmed by distractions, remember this: remove the noise, sharpen your mission, embrace your solitude, and hunt your purpose with unyielding precision. That's the Sigma way. So Sigmas, next time someone says, "Why are you still single?" just smile, because they don't see the storm you're building, the clarity you're crafting, the legacy you're laying brick by brick. The longer you're single, the more powerful you become, not because you're avoiding life, but because you're mastering it. Remember, being single isn't your weakness, it's your weapon. If you felt this video, Sigmas, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and join this growing brotherhood of men who live life by their own rules. Comment below and tell us what you've discovered about yourself during your solo journey. Stay strong, stay sharp, and as always, stay true and stay Sigma. Greetings. If there's one thing you should know about a Sigma male, it's this. He's not the type to make a big scene or constantly call people out. But don't mistake his silence for ignorance. A Sigma never overlooks disrespect, manipulation, or passive aggression. Not because he wants to start drama, but because he knows one overlooked offense leads to another. And before long, people start testing his boundaries like it's a game. The Sigma understands human psychology better than most. He knows that when you allow one person to cross a line, others will follow suit like clockwork. It doesn't matter if you're his friend, co-worker, or even a romantic partner. Once you disrespect a Sigma's values or personal code, the connection begins to unravel. Sigmas have an internal compass that doesn't allow them to tolerate certain behaviors, no matter who it's coming from. This isn't about pride or ego, it's about principle. They live by a set of rules that prioritize self-respect, mental peace, and independence. And once you break those rules, it's not just a personal offense, it's a breach of the trust that the Sigma rarely gives in the first place. People often mistake Sigma males as loners or cold-hearted individuals, but in reality, they're some of the most calculated and self-aware people you'll ever meet. Their emotional distance isn't detachment, it's discipline. They've learned through experience and observation that tolerance for toxic behavior is a fast track to chaos. They don't just talk about boundaries, them, with quiet confidence and no need for explanation. So if you find yourself in the company of a Sigma and want to stay there, know this. Respect is not optional. It's the currency of connection in his world. Coming up next, we're diving into the 8 specific things Sigma males will never tolerate from anyone. Stay tuned. Number 1, fake respect and forced politeness. Here's the thing, a Sigma male doesn't need a smile if it's hiding a knife. He doesn't care for polished politeness that conceals a hidden agenda. In fact, he'd rather be hit with the raw truth than be coddled by sugar-coated deception. That's because Sigmas thrive on clarity, not comfort. They operate in a realm where words must carry the weight of truth, not just the melody of charm. In a world addicted to superficial pleasantries and social masks, Sigma males are a rare breed who instinctively detect what's real and what's rehearsed. They're naturally equipped with a sharp BS detector, an almost uncanny ability to read between the lines. Psychology refers to this as high social intelligence, particularly in the form of cognitive empathy. Unlike emotional empathy, which makes one feel others' emotions, cognitive empathy allows a person to understand the motives and intentions behind someone's actions. Sigmas don't just hear what you say, they observe how you say it, watch what you do, and notice whether those two things line up. If your actions contradict your words, he won't confront you with drama or create a scene, he'll simply detach. Quietly, permanently, that's the Sigma way. People pleasers and overcharmers rarely survive long in a Sigma's orbit. Why? Because their constant need for validation and approval disrupts the natural independence that defines a Sigma's world. Sigmas don't care if you like them, they care if you respect them. And respect, in their book, is never handed out for free. It must be earned through integrity and consistency. Courtesy that's just performance doesn't impress them, it irritates them. You can be imperfect, messy, even disagreeable. But as long as you're real, a Sigma will respect you for it. What truly turns a Sigma off is inauthenticity. Fake laughs, forced compliments, manipulative friendliness, these are like static noise to his frequency. He doesn't expect perfection, he expects sincerity. That's why Sigmas are often drawn to people who are unapologetically themselves. Even if you're blunt or rough around the edges, your honesty is refreshing. But once he senses you're wearing a mask, you're already fading into the background. To a Sigma male, authenticity isn't optional. It's the only language he speaks. Number 2, drama and gossip. If you ever want to see a Sigma vanish like Houdini, start talking about what Sarah said about Mike, who cheated on Lisa with Karen. That's the fastest way to lose him, because Sigmas don't do soap operas. They don't get tangled in emotional theatrics or the swirling vortex of gossip that keeps so many people mentally exhausted and emotionally spent. To a Sigma male, drama is the equivalent of junk food for the soul. It's fast, it's tempting, and it provides a short burst of excitement. But in the end, it leaves you sluggish, empty, and spiritually undernourished. Sigmas thrive on peace and clarity. They've learned that feeding off chaos doesn't just kill productivity, it warps your perception and drains your focus. While the average person may find gossip entertaining or even a way to bond socially, Sigmas see it for what it truly is, a distraction from purpose. Research even backs this up. Constant exposure to social drama has been linked to increased stress, anxiety, and even lower self-esteem. Sigmas are wired to protect their inner energy from that nonsense. They know that every minute spent dissecting someone else's messy life is a minute stolen from their own goals, dreams, and mental clarity. These men are builders of ideas, businesses, skills, and personal growth. Their minds are constantly occupied with the question, how can I improve this? Whether it's themselves, their craft, or the world around them, they're locked into a mindset of elevation, not degradation. So if someone brings drama to the table, a Sigma will quietly excuse himself. No confrontation, no explanation, just silence. Because in his world, time is sacred and peace is non-negotiable. You'll never catch a Sigma choosing gossip over growth or pettiness over purpose. If your life runs on chaos, attention-seeking, and who said what to whom, don't expect him to sit through the show. He's already left the theater. Number 3, manipulation, emotional blackmail, guilt trips, passive-aggressive games. These are manipulation tactics often used to gain control in relationships, whether romantic, professional, or social. But try pulling any of that on a Sigma male and you'll quickly find yourself talking to empty space. Sigmas are masters of silent exits. You won't get drama, confrontation, or a long-winded explanation, just their sudden and complete disappearance. That's not arrogance, it's self-respect. See, Sigma males are lone wolves by nature. They're not looking to be saved or soothed. They're not clinging to relationships for validation or security. Unlike those who dread solitude, Sigmas actually recharge in it. That's their edge. Emotional manipulation thrives on dependency, on someone needing approval, affection, or reassurance so badly that they'll tolerate mistreatment to keep the peace. But a Sigma, he's already at peace on his own, so if you try to play mind games with him, he simply opts out. No fuss, no warning, just gone. It's not that Sigmas are cold or heartless, quite the opposite. They often care deeply, but their self-worth isn't tied to others' behavior. They've learned that arguing with manipulative people only fuels the fire. Instead of reacting, they remove themselves. This mindset is backed by psychology too. Studies show that emotionally intelligent individuals, those with high self-awareness and self-regulation, are far less likely to be swayed by guilt or gaslighting. Sigma males embody that emotional intelligence. They see through the smokescreen, recognize the patterns, and don't stick around for round two. What really sets them apart is their ability to detach with dignity. They don't retaliate. They don't try to out-manipulate the manipulator. They just walk away, leaving behind a powerful message: I choose peace over drama. That's their strength. In a world where many are pulled into toxic dynamics out of fear of being alone, the Sigma male's solitude is his superpower. Try to control him, and you'll find he's already 10 steps ahead, moving in silence, unmoved by guilt, and untouchable by games. Number 4, lack of boundaries. Call him cold, call him distant, call him mysterious. But here's the truth. The Sigma male has walls, not fences, and you don't get in unless you're invited. He doesn't build these walls to push people away out of arrogance or superiority. He builds them because solitude is his sanctuary, and peace is a currency he refuses to waste. To outsiders, this might seem harsh, even unfriendly, but what they fail to realize is that the Sigma male isn't interested in small talk, emotional manipulation, or performative relationships. He values depth, honesty, and autonomy, and anyone who threatens that equilibrium is met with the quiet force of his boundaries. He guards his time, energy, and peace like it's sacred. Why? Because it is. In a world that thrives on noise, validation, and overstimulation, the Sigma male retreats inward. Psychological studies show that introverted personality types, particularly those resembling the Sigma archetype, require extended alone time to recharge and function at their best. This isn't some trendy self-care ritual, it's a neurological necessity. When people invade his space without permission, constantly demand his presence, or refuse to acknowledge his need for independence, he doesn't argue or lash out. He disappears, not out of spite, but self-preservation. If you constantly barge into his life, demand attention, overstep limits, or ignore his no, expect to meet his silence. Not the cold shoulder kind of silence, but the kind that comes with doors quietly shutting and locks clicking into place. It's not personal, it's principle. The Sigma male doesn't beg to be understood. He doesn't chase validation, and he certainly doesn't entertain chaos disguised as closeness. His silence is his final answer. Boundaries aren't optional, they're survival. In a world that rarely respects the need for space or individuality, the Sigma male has learned that drawing the line isn't just about protecting himself, it's about preserving his ability to think, create, and live on his own terms. You either respect that, or you find yourself on the other side of his wall, wondering why he vanished without a word. The truth is, he didn't vanish. He simply chose peace over pressure and clarity over confusion. That's not cold, that's controlled. Number 5, neediness and emotional dependency. Let's be honest, Sigma males aren't babysitters for fragile egos. They aren't wired to cater to constant emotional maintenance or the exhausting tug-of-war of neediness. For a Sigma, energy is sacred. Every interaction is a transaction, and when it comes to emotional energy, they don't spend it where there's no return. Clinginess, codependency, or emotional meltdowns over an unread text. That's like trying to plug a USB into a stone wall. It just doesn't connect. Now, don't mistake this for cold-heartedness. Sigma males absolutely care. In fact, when they connect, it's deeply authentic. But their love language isn't constant validation. They thrive in relationships that operate on mutual respect and emotional independence. It's not about being distant, it's about choosing depth over drama. And this mindset is backed by psychological science too. Studies in attachment theory show that secure individuals value autonomy while still forming strong, meaningful bonds. That's exactly the Sigma's lane. Sigma males are deeply drawn to strength, specifically the kind that comes from within. They admire people who are self-reliant, those who carry themselves with quiet confidence and navigate life without needing a spotlight or applause. Resilience is attractive. Emotional maturity is magnetic. If you fall apart every time they need space, or if your world collapses when a text goes unanswered for an hour, they're going to quietly slip away. You see, Sigmas are minimalists when it comes to relationships, not in terms of affection, but in terms of emotional chaos. They don't want a partner who constantly needs to be rescued. They want someone who can hold their own, who can communicate with honesty but not desperation. There's beauty in being real and raw, in expressing yourself authentically. But when that honesty turns into constant emotional neediness, it becomes an expense the Sigma male isn't willing to carry. Their mindset is simple. They're building a peaceful, purposeful life. If your presence brings peace, you're welcome. But if it brings pressure, you'll find yourself watching them walk away silently and without explanation. Because to a Sigma, peace isn't negotiable. Number 6, groupthink and herd mentality. Here's something that rattles a Sigma to his core: blind conformity. To a Sigma male, the idea of following the herd without thought or reason is not just uncomfortable, it's unacceptable. In a world where most people are wired to seek approval, blend in, and follow trends for the sake of social acceptance, the Sigma male operates like a lone wolf who listens to a different frequency altogether. He's not driven by what's popular. He's driven by what's true. While others nod along just to avoid conflict or to gain favor, the Sigma remains unmoved, even if it means standing alone. He questions the system. He interrogates the norms. He challenges the status quo. And if something doesn't sit right with his internal compass, he doesn't just disagree silently. He quietly withdraws and redirects his energy toward a more authentic path. When society says fit in, the Sigma doesn't just ignore it. He pauses and asks, why? That question, simple as it seems, is the bedrock of his individuality. He's not being difficult for the sake of rebellion. He's being honest. Sigmas don't adopt belief systems because they're convenient. They don't jump on bandwagons or follow fashion trends just to look cool. Instead, they filter everything through a rigorous inner lens. If it doesn't resonate with their core values, they simply won't fake it. And this isn't just about being different, it's about being real. This kind of mindset has historical roots. Some of the world's most influential thinkers, inventors, and revolutionaries embodied the Sigma spirit. From Nikola Tesla, who defied mainstream science, to Steve Jobs, who literally coined the slogan, "Think different," these men didn't conform, they transformed. What makes the Sigma male dangerous to the system is not aggression or ego, it's clarity. He sees through the noise, he doesn't crave attention, but his quiet confidence and refusal to bow to trends make him magnetic. In a world of filters and facades, his authenticity is rare and unsettling to many. So when you see someone who stands apart, questions everything, and refuses to follow blindly, you might be witnessing the Sigma at work. He doesn't need to shout. He doesn't need to prove. He just lives the truth, and that alone is enough to shake the world. Number 7, disrespect. Sigmas may be silent, but they're not spineless. Behind that calm exterior lies an iron will and a deeply rooted principle. Respect is non-negotiable. For Sigma males, it's not about ego or dominance, it's about self-worth. They know their value, and they've worked hard to cultivate a sense of identity that doesn't rely on validation from others. That's why respect isn't something they hope for in a relationship, it's the foundation. Without it, there's no trust, no connection, and certainly no reason to stay. You can disagree with a Sigma male. In fact, he welcomes thoughtful debate. Intellectual stimulation is one of the rare things that actually engages him. He's not intimidated by being challenged, he thrives on it. But there's a hard boundary between disagreement and disrespect. The moment someone crosses that invisible line, whether through condescension, manipulation, or outright insult, the switch flips. And here's where Sigma males differ from others. They don't raise their voice. They don't go to war, they simply vanish. This reaction isn't passive-aggressive, it's strategic. Sigmas are highly self-aware and emotionally disciplined. Psychologically, this is known as strategic withdrawal, a conscious decision to remove oneself from toxic environments rather than engaging in destructive behavior. It's not a weakness, it's self-preservation. While others might waste time arguing or seeking closure, a Sigma cuts the cord instantly. Like a shadow dissolving into the night, he exits with no announcement, no drama, and no second chances. Why does he never come back? Because returning would mean compromising his boundaries. Sigmas live by an internal code that values solitude over chaos, peace over ego, and growth over validation. Once disrespected, trust is shattered beyond repair. Studies in social psychology confirm that individuals with high self-respect are less likely to tolerate repeated offenses. And Sigmas are the epitome of that principle. In a world obsessed with noise, Sigma males move with quiet power. They don't need the last word. They don't need to prove a point. Their absence is the message. And those who once took their silence for weakness soon realize they were in the presence of someone who demanded respect without ever having to ask for it. Number 8, control. You want to lose a Sigma, try to own him, micromanage him, tell him who to be, what to wear, how to act, and who to love. You'll lose him in an instant. That's not drama, that's biology. Sigma males are wired for independence. They don't just value freedom, they breathe it. It's as essential to them as air. The moment they sense a leash, they disappear like smoke in the wind. You can't own what refuses to be possessed. Sigmas were born allergic to cages. This isn't just poetic language, it reflects a real psychological pattern rooted in high levels of self-determination and autonomy. Studies on personality types often associate these traits with introverted, non-conforming individuals who are deeply driven by internal goals rather than external validation. They're not trying to be rebellious. They're just built differently. Whether it's a relationship, a job, a social group, or even pressure from family, Sigma males instinctively recoil from anything that feels like control. And here's the thing, Sigmas don't equate love with obedience. They equate love with respect for their space, their mind, and their mission. Tell a Sigma who to be, and you're no longer a partner. You've become a warden. Try to mold him into someone else, and you'll find yourself talking to his back as he walks away. You see, Sigmas seek freedom, not comfort. While others chase security, acceptance, or approval, Sigmas chase purpose and liberty. And if they have to choose between being accepted or being free, they choose freedom. Every time. Not out of pride, but out of principle. They know that compromise on core identity is a slow death of the soul. So if you want to lose a Sigma, control him. But if you want to keep one, understand this. He's not looking for someone to complete him. He's looking for someone who won't try to change him. Sigmas live by a silent code. It's not written, it's lived. They don't waste words, they don't fake feelings, they don't tolerate nonsense. And that's what makes them powerful. If you're tired of playing the social game, of tolerating less than you deserve, of being someone you're not, maybe you've got a Sigma inside you waiting to rise. So start setting your boundaries. Walk away from what drains you. Be unapologetically authentic. Because power begins where tolerance ends. Sigmas, if this resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe, and become part of a community that values depth over noise, strength over show, and freedom over fitting in. Let's keep growing, let's keep rising. Stay safe and stay Sigma. When a Sigma male enters the room, something invisible but undeniable shifts. The energy changes. It's not about what he says, it's about what he say. He doesn't come in loud, doesn't flash status, and doesn't demand attention, yet somehow the atmosphere. The alpha males, usually the ones filling the space with their voice and presence, suddenly go quiet. Their dominance feels challenged, not by aggression, but by mystery. The betas, often seeking cues from others to feel safe, look confused, trying to interpret this calm force that doesn't fit into their social script. And the ones faking confidence, they feel exposed, nervous, almost as if someone just saw through the mask they've spent years perfecting. So what is it about the Sigma that creates this ripple? It's not magic, it's psychology. Sigma males tend to score high in self-reliance and emotional intelligence. They move with purpose, speak only when necessary, and are deeply aware of their surroundings. This quiet assurance disturbs those who rely on loudness and performance to validate their worth. In a world built around pecking orders and attention economies, a man who doesn't care about being seen but still gets seen becomes a silent threat. And when the Sigma leaves, that's when the paranoia starts. People question if he noticed their insecurities, if he saw past their facades, because he probably did. Sigma males are observers, not out of judgment, but out of instinct. They read people, assess dynamics, and carry themselves as if they've already won a game everyone else is still trying to understand. In this video, we're diving deep into 8 unsettling reasons why Sigma males make others uncomfortable without saying a word. So, if you've ever walked into a room and felt eyes on you, not out of admiration, but confusion and quiet fear, you're about to understand why. This isn't just content. This is a reflection of your silent dominance. Let's get into it. Number 1. They don't play by the social rule book. In every social group, there are invisible rules that govern how people behave. Rules no one writes down, but everyone somehow knows. You're expected to laugh when the alpha laughs, agree when the crowd agrees, and follow the energy of the room like a leaf caught in the wind. These rules form the glue of group dynamics, maintaining order and making interactions predictable. But when a Sigma male enters that same environment, things start to shift. He doesn't follow the script, and that alone sends ripples through the social atmosphere. Sigmas don't play the social game, they observe it. While others are jockeying for status, attention, or validation, a Sigma male remains detached, not because he's trying to be rebellious, but because he genuinely doesn't need to compete in the same arena. Psychologically, this behavior is linked to what researchers call introverted assertiveness, a rare mix of quiet confidence and self-reliance. A Sigma doesn't need to be the loudest voice in the room to be heard. In fact, his silence often speaks louder than anyone else's words. What makes this dynamic so unsettling to others is that it disrupts the social hierarchy. Most people are subconsciously wired to seek approval through laughter, flattery, or imitation. It's a form of social bonding rooted in our evolutionary need for tribe acceptance. But the Sigma walks into that same room and doesn't laugh on cue, doesn't nod when everyone else does, and doesn't flinch at awkward silences. He's not cold, he's just in control. That lack of neediness creates tension because people don't know how to handle someone who isn't seeking their validation. This behavioral independence often translates into social power. When you don't chase approval, you appear stronger. When you don't force conversation or fake smiles, you project authenticity. And when you let everyone else move their pawns while you sit still, strategic, patient, calculating, you become the wild card, the unpredictable element, the one person who can't be easily read or influenced. That freaks people out because most social interactions rely on predictability and feedback. When a Sigma offers neither, the whole system feels like it's short-circuiting. And that's the Sigma's silent advantage. He doesn't just refuse to play the game. He breaks it by refusing to need it. Number 2, they thrive in solitude. You ever notice how society equates solitude with loneliness? Like if you're not constantly surrounded by people, you must be sad or worse, broken. But Sigma males see it differently. For them, solitude isn't something to fear or avoid, it's a sanctuary. It's the space where they recharge, reconnect with themselves, and sharpen their vision. While most people are out chasing approval, attention, or distraction, the Sigma male is embracing the quiet, because that's where real clarity lives. There's a reason why people find this so unsettling. In a world addicted to noise and validation, where notifications, likes, and follower counts define worth, the Sigma's detachment is like a glitch in the matrix. How can someone be so okay without the constant applause of others? The truth is, Sigma males don't need the crowd to feel complete. They find richness in reflection. Studies in psychology even suggest that individuals who are comfortable being alone tend to have higher emotional intelligence and stronger problem-solving abilities. That's not a weakness, it's a rare strength. When a Sigma male is sitting alone in a cafe or walking solo through a park, he's not lonely. He's recharging, he's processing, he's planning his next move. While others may see silence as an uncomfortable void to be filled, Sigmas see it as a weapon, one that helps them observe, adapt, and evolve. In that silence, they study people, they map out patterns, they notice what others miss. This quiet confidence unsettles those who rely on constant engagement to validate their worth. And that's why people ask, how is he so okay being alone? It's because he owns his silence, he commands it. And let's be honest, silence is golden, but it also has power. Power to unnerve, power to speak louder than noise, power to show that being at peace with yourself is the most intimidating trait of all. When a man no longer fears being alone, he becomes truly free. And that kind of freedom It shakes the world without ever saying a word. Number 3, their confidence comes from within. There's confidence. And then there's Sigma confidence. And make no mistake, the two aren't in the same league. Sigma confidence is not the kind you scream from a rooftop or plaster all over social media. It's not measured by likes, followers, or applause. It's a quiet, unshakable presence. The kind that enters a room and instantly alters the energy without uttering a single word. This isn't bravado. It's not about dominance or seeking validation. It's a deep-rooted self-assurance built on independence, self-awareness, and purpose. Sigmas don't need the spotlight to feel important. They're the spotlight, even when they stand in the shadows. This type of confidence is what unsettles people. In a world driven by external validation, where popularity is currency and self-worth is tied to appearance or performance, someone who simply without effort becomes a mystery and a threat. The guy wearing the loudest outfit, cracking the most jokes, or shouting over everyone in the room may temporarily grab attention. But when a Sigma walks in, calm, composed, and unaffected, people start wondering. Psychologically, this confidence stems from high emotional intelligence and intrinsic motivation. Sigmas are not ruled by the opinions of others. Studies show that those with strong internal motivation and low need for social approval tend to be more resilient, focused, and independent thinkers. That's the Sigma way. They've mastered the art of silence, the strength of solitude, and the power of self-trust. What's even more powerful, the paradox that unfolds. When you stop trying to win over the crowd starts trying to win over you. That's the magnetism of a Sigma male. He doesn't respect it, not by acting superior, but by being grounded in who he is. And in a world obsessed with noise, that kind of silent strength speaks volumes. So yes, there's confidence, and then there's Sigma confidence. One needs a stage, the other builds empires in silence. Number 4, they're unpredictable by design. You don't reveal your next move. You don't post your life for public consumption. And you don't chase trends. You observe them like a wolf quietly watching the flock. These aren't just cool personality quirks. They're behaviors rooted in something far deeper, the mastery of unpredictability. In a world obsessed with oversharing, broadcasting every meal, emotion, and milestone for likes and validation, your silence speaks volumes. People are unnerved, not because they know what you're about to do, but because they. And that mystery, that's power. Unpredictability is one of the most feared human traits for a reason. Evolutionarily, humans are hardwired to seek patterns. It's how we survive, predicting the weather, anticipating danger, reading social cues. When someone breaks that pattern, it scrambles the brain. It causes discomfort, even anxiety. The military has long recognized this. In fact, unpredictability is a key tactic in warfare, known as asymmetric strategy, where you never strike the same way twice, keeping your opponent off balance. The same principle applies socially. When people can't anticipate your actions, they lose the ability to manipulate or control you. This isn't about being secretive just to be cool. It's about maintaining psychological autonomy in a world that tries to map you, track you, label you. Your unpredictability makes people nervous, not because you're dangerous, but because you're free. When you don't follow the crowd, you force people to confront their own conformity. When you withhold your next step, you disrupt the script they've written for you in their heads. That rattles them. In essence, unpredictability breaks the illusion of control. And for many, control equals comfort. So when you exist outside their forecast, when you don't respond the way they expect, when your silence replaces their need for closure, they begin to fear you, not because you've done anything wrong, but because you represent something they can't manage. You are a variable in a world addicted to formulas, and that alone is enough to unsettle the entire room. Number 5, they attract attention without trying. Women, men, dogs, cats, baristas, everyone senses that Sigma aura. It's not something you announce, it's something the Sigma male doesn't chase validation, and that alone shifts the entire atmosphere when he walks into a room. You don't flirt with attention, you ignore it, and that's exactly why it comes running. While most people exhaust themselves trying to be seen, you remain calm, reserved, and unfazed. That mysterious presence doesn't beg for eyes. It commands them. What's at play here is something deeper than just personality. It's behavioral psychology. Studies have shown that humans are naturally intrigued by unpredictability and autonomy. People pay closer attention to those who don't immediately reveal themselves. The Sigma male leverages this without even trying. Your independence, your emotional control, your refusal to play into social hierarchies, all of it triggers curiosity and even admiration. You're the social enigma people can't quite figure out, and that's magnetic. You embody self-contained energy. You're not hungry for connection, though you can easily make one. You're not competing with anyone, though you effortlessly outperform the room in presence alone. It's the way you're fine with or without them. That level of self-sufficiency is rare, and in a world obsessed with constant interaction, it feels like rebellion. You're not the loudest in the room. You don't need to be. You're the quietest one with the loudest impact. Your stillness speaks volumes. Your silence makes people listen harder. There's power in that kind of presence. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't shout. It whispers, and somehow everyone still hears it. People notice the way you sit with composure, the way you observe before you speak, the way you smile like you already know something no one else does. And that's the Sigma difference. While others work to be accepted, you've already accepted yourself. While the world scrambles for belonging, you're too focused on building your own world. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. And that right there is why the world notices, even when you say absolutely nothing. Number 6, they disarm egos without saying a word. Every social circle has that one person, the ego warrior. You know the type, the loudest voice in the room, the one who flexes stories of success, flaunts possessions, dominates conversations, and demands attention like a peacock in full display. They feed off applause, recognition, and validation. And in most cases, it works. People lean in, laugh a little too hard, nod in agreement even when they don't understand a word. It's a carefully constructed performance, and most are too entangled in social games to notice. But then something unexpected happens. A Sigma male enters the room. He doesn't say much. He's not dressed to impress, not looking around for approval, and not laughing at things just to fit in. He's simply present, calm, grounded, and that changes everything. The room shifts. The ego warrior, once the center of attention, suddenly feels exposed, nervous, less certain, because none of his usual tactics work. He's loud, you're unmoved. He brags, you're uninterested. He tries to bait competition, you don't bite. You're not playing his game, and that's the most dangerous move of all. Sigmas disarm egos not with aggression, but with indifference. This isn't passive, it's powerful. Psychology backs this up. Humans crave social feedback, and when someone isn't giving it, when you're immune to social posturing, it triggers discomfort in the person seeking control. That's why silence, observation, and self-containment can be more unsettling than confrontation. It disrupts the feedback loop that egos rely on. Without someone to validate their superiority, the loud ones begin to crumble from within. And here's the kicker: the Sigma doesn't do any of this to prove a point. He's just being himself. That's what makes it so lethal. People with fragile egos need opposition to thrive. They need to win. But how do you win against someone who isn't even playing? You don't. You implode, and that quiet implosion is what causes the entire room to shift in energy. So the next time someone loud suddenly goes quiet when you walk in, know this: your energy spoke louder than their volume ever could. Number 7, they are masters of emotional control. While others blow up, spiral out, or need a crowd to validate their emotions, you stay calm, focused, detached. That calmness isn't just a personality quirk, it's a form of emotional discipline, a mastery of self that's becoming increasingly rare in today's reactionary world. Most people are conditioned to react. They're wired to respond to every slight, every insult, every jab with immediate emotion, anger, frustration, defensiveness. But not you. You've built a fortress within your mind, and while the storm rages around you, your inner world remains unshaken. That kind of control, it's not just admirable, it's intimidating. Psychologically, this kind of detachment is rooted in self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Studies in neuroscience show that people who develop strong prefrontal cortex function, the area of the brain responsible for rational thinking and self-control, tend to regulate their emotions more effectively. They pause, they process, and only then do they respond. This is a mental edge you've honed. Whether through experience, introspection, or sheer willpower, you've trained your nervous system not to react impulsively. You've mastered the art of pausing before you speak and thinking before you feel. And that pause, that moment of silence, it unnerves people more than words ever could. That calm, it's psychological kryptonite. It throws manipulators off their game, frustrates emotional bullies, and confuses those who rely on chaos to maintain control. You can't be baited, guilt-tripped, or gaslighted into doubting yourself because your self-perception doesn't depend on external validation. You know who you are. You've done the inner work. You've made peace with your solitude, and that makes you unpredictable and therefore unmanageable in the eyes of those who want control. And nothing, absolutely nothing, scares people more than someone they can't emotionally manipulate. Because when you're unshakable, you're not just calm, you're powerful, you're free, and that freedom is threatening to anyone who's still trapped in the emotional cages they haven't yet realized they built themselves. Number 8, they make people reflect on themselves. Here's the deepest truth. Sigma males make people uncomfortable, not because they're aggressive, loud, or seeking attention, but because they unknowingly force others to confront parts of themselves they'd rather avoid. When a Sigma walks into a room grounded in quiet confidence, completely unbothered by the need for validation, it sends shockwaves through the social fabric. That self-reliance, that authenticity, it's not just admirable, it's confronting. People who have built their identities on approval, popularity, or external achievements suddenly feel exposed. Without uttering a single word, the Sigma becomes a living contrast, a silent reminder of what others have buried beneath layers of performance. He doesn't chase clicks, trends, or flattery, yet he commands attention. Why? Because truth is magnetic and uncomfortable. Psychologically, this is known as self-comparison theory, where people subconsciously measure themselves against others. But unlike admiration that comes with looking up to a celebrity, the Sigma's presence is too real, too raw. He's not selling anything, he's just being. And that being becomes a mirror, not to judge, but to reflect. A man who doesn't fold under peer pressure, who doesn't conform to expectations, highlights just how much everyone else does. It's not his intention to make people squirm, it's just the consequence of authenticity in a world addicted to pretense. That's why Sigma males are both intriguing and unnerving. They don't expose others with words, they do it with presence. And presence, when anchored in truth, is the most revealing force of all. In a world that thrives on noise and validation, Sigma males are feared not because they try to be, but because they exist outside the system. They walk a path few dare to tread, one that doesn't beg for attention or approval. While society praises the loud, the dominant, and the overtly ambitious, the Sigma man quietly rewrites the rules. He doesn't chase followers, he chases growth. He doesn't need hierarchy, he builds his own reality, and that's where his power lies, in self-mastery. True strength isn't about overpowering others, it's about mastering your impulses, your emotions, and your mission. Studies in psychology show that individuals who exhibit high self-discipline and intrinsic motivation tend to outperform their peers, not through aggression, but through consistency and control. The Sigma doesn't just walk away from the crowd, he walks it, unseen yet deeply felt. His silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. His solitude isn't loneliness, it's clarity. That's why society fears him, because you can't manipulate what you can't define. So keep building in the shadows, keep rising without the applause. And know this, the world isn't ready for a man who doesn't need it. If this resonates with you, then you already belong to a tribe of strategic minds and silent power. Sigmas, picture this. It's a crowded office party. Loud music, fake laughs, people clinking glasses over shallow conversations. Everyone's trying to impress someone, but there you are, in the corner, scanning the room with quiet confidence. You didn't come to network, you didn't come to pretend, you came because a colleague insisted, and now 10 minutes in, you're already counting the seconds until you can leave without raising eyebrows. And that's where it hits you again. This world, it makes no sense to someone like you. You observe everything, but engage with little. While others get high off validation, you operate on independence. They trade authenticity for applause. You protect your peace like a vault. Society calls it antisocial, but for you, it's clarity. You don't avoid people because you can't connect. You avoid the noise because you already see through it. While most are wired for tribe and status, your compass points inward. That's not rebellion, that's evolution. Being a Sigma male isn't just a label. It's a lived experience that flips the social hierarchy upside down. Studies in personality psychology show that while alpha and beta behaviors are deeply rooted in group dynamics and social reward systems, sigma types fall outside that loop entirely. They're lone operators, thriving on autonomy, minimalism, and meaning. You don't chase trends, cliques, or crowns. You walk your own path, even if it's uphill and unpaved. So today, we're diving deep into 7 things that make absolutely zero sense to sigma males. Things society worships, but you silently reject. Whether it's the obsession with status, the addiction to small talk, or the cult of conformity, we're peeling back the layers with a blend of wit, wisdom, and unapologetic truth. Let's dive in. This one's for the outliers. Number 1, social climbing for validation. Sigmas look at the whole social climbing thing and go, wait, people actually waste energy doing this. While the world rushes to collect followers, business cards, and status symbols, the sigma male stands back, unimpressed, unaffected, and unmoved. Society has built an entire ecosystem around validation. You're taught that your worth increases with proximity to power, popularity, and prestige. That if you shake hands with the right people, attend the right events, and wear the right mask, you'll finally make it. But sigmas, they see through that illusion like a pane of glass. The truth is, validation, especially the kind built on shallow metrics, is like junk food. It might give you a quick dopamine rush, but it's empty. It doesn't nourish the soul or satisfy the mind. Sigma males reject this high-calorie, low-substance way of living. Instead of climbing a corporate ladder just to impress others, they build their own blueprint, carve out their own path, and define success on their own terms. They don't orbit power. They become power in solitude. Ironically, the more people chase clout and connection, the more they lose connection with themselves. Studies in psychology have shown that extrinsic goals like fame, money, and image are linked to higher levels of anxiety and lower well-being. Meanwhile, intrinsic goals like purpose, autonomy, and mastery are where true satisfaction lies. And guess who lives in that space? The sigma. He doesn't walk into a room hoping to be liked. He walks in with such clarity and calm that people can't help but notice. While others scramble for seats at the table, he builds his own table, or better yet, enjoys his meal alone in peace. Sigmas may walk alone, but it's not loneliness. It's freedom. It's purpose. It's anchoring your identity in who you are, not who you're trying to impress. So the next time someone nudges you to network more, just smile and say, I'm not trying to be liked. I'm trying to be legendary. Because legends aren't born from people-pleasing, they're forged in solitude, discipline, and truth. Number 2, small talk over substance. If there's one thing that makes a sigma male want to vanish into the woods and live among the trees, it's small talk. You know the kind, those painfully shallow exchanges that go nowhere fast. Nice weather today? How about that game last night? Busy weekend ahead? For the average person, this might be polite social grease. But for the sigma male, it's like spiritual sandpaper, grating, dry, and completely pointless. Sigmas aren't trying to be rude, it's just that their minds are wired for more. They're analytical thinkers and independent souls who find meaning in depth. While others may find comfort in casual banter, sigmas feel like they're being trapped in a loop of meaningless repetition. For them, every word exchanged should carry weight, spark curiosity, or unlock a new perspective. Conversations about the cosmos, human psychology, philosophy, or even hypothetical theories about time travel, these are the real treasures. Neurologically, this actually aligns with what science tells us about deep thinkers. Studies suggest that individuals with introspective and analytical tendencies have more activity in the brain's default mode network, regions linked to imagination, future planning, and deep reflection. So when a sigma is stuck in a chat about someone's weekend barbecue plans, you can almost hear that network screaming for stimulation. That's why, when you see a sigma male nodding during a surface-level conversation, don't be fooled. He might look present, but trust me, mentally he's already 40 years into the future or decoding the psychology behind your word choice. Sigmas are the kind of people who'd rather have one unforgettable, mind-bending conversation in a lifetime than 1,000 forgettable ones in a week. This trait isn't arrogance, it's a hunger for meaning. So the next time you're around a sigma and you want to connect, skip the weather report. Ask about consciousness, society, or the meaning of life. Then watch as their eyes light up and the real conversation begins. Number 3, posting everything online. Ah yes, the digital circus where people document their lunch, flex their outfits, and perform happiness for strangers. The online world has become a stage, and every scroll reveals another act, curated, filtered, and exaggerated for effect. It's not inherently bad. After all, technology connects us in powerful ways, but to the Sigma male, the spectacle of it all borders on absurd. He watches this performance from a distance, not with disdain, but with detached amusement, like an ancient monk observing a parade of illusions. Sigmas aren't technophobes. They'll use a smartphone, browse the web, maybe even drop a clever post now and then. But what they do is beg for validation. The dopamine-chasing culture of likes, shares, and algorithm-driven approval, that's a trap they see right through. Studies in psychology have shown how social media stimulates the brain's reward system in the same way as addictive substances, yet Sigmas have trained their minds to resist that pull. Their worth doesn't hinge on heart emojis or follower counts. Instead, Sigmas find their validation in the quiet moments, when they've mastered a new skill, completed a personal challenge, or simply sat in stillness and felt content. They understand what philosopher Blaise Pascal meant when he said, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." Solitude isn't a punishment for them. It's a proving ground. To a Sigma, posting every detail of life to convince others of your value is like shouting into the void and hoping the void claps. It's performative, exhausting, and unnecessary. Why broadcast your every move when the real treasure lies in the doing, not the documenting? While others are busy capturing their lives for strangers to see, the Sigma is out there living his unbothered, unfiltered, and unapologetically off-grid. He knows that authenticity isn't found in pixels or hashtags, but in the choices you make when no one's watching. Number 4, competing for female attention. This is where things get comically absurd. Imagine a group of men practically doing backflips in a gym, not for fitness, not for health, but purely to flex for attention. One's flexing his biceps in the mirror, another's snapping selfies next to rented Lamborghinis, and a third is rehearsing the cheesiest pickup lines ever uttered since the dawn of cringeworthy romance. Some of them even go so far as to sabotage each other, cutting down their own friends, just to gain the upper hand with a woman. It's like watching a modern gladiator arena, only instead of swords and shields, it's protein shakes, gold watches, and desperation. Then enter the Sigma male. No grand entrance, no cologne that precedes him by 5 feet, no loud conversations to get noticed. He simply walks into the room, sits down, and observes. He doesn't compete for the spotlight, the spotlight, precisely because he's not chasing it. And that's what makes women turn their heads. It's not because he's doing something, it's because he's doing. He isn't performing, he isn't strategizing. He's just there, completely at ease with himself. That calm self-assurance is magnetic in a world addicted to noise and approval. Psychologically speaking, this is known as the contrast effect. In a sea of people clamoring for validation, the one who remains unaffected stands out. It's also tied to what behavioral scientists call the law of effort justification. People tend to value what is hard to get. And a Sigma's attention, that's a rare currency. While others shout to be heard, the Sigma whispers, and the whisper gets amplified. His quiet confidence creates a mystery, a kind of gravitational pull. He doesn't ask to be noticed, yet he always is. And ironically, this lack of neediness is exactly what makes others chase him. So while the world keeps spinning on the hamster wheel of flashy distractions, the Sigma sits still and somehow outpaces them all. Number 5, worshipping celebrities and influencers. Here's one that absolutely fries the Sigma brain: celebrity worship. In a world obsessed with fame and followers, millions of people fall under the spell of celebrity culture. They copy outfits worn by their favorite stars, imitate their mannerisms, quote their social media posts like gospel, and even shed tears over celebrity breakups as if they were personally involved. It's a strange modern-day ritual where attention replaces authenticity and popularity is mistaken for wisdom. But for the Sigma male, this kind of behavior doesn't just seem irrational, it's borderline comical. Sigmas operate on an entirely different wavelength. They aren't wired to idolize others for superficial reasons. To a Sigma, true admiration stems from depth of character, not the size of one's fan base. They admire integrity, independence, and originality, not the ability to trend on a timeline or get papped at some exclusive party. Sigmas understand that just because someone is well known doesn't mean they are well-rounded. In fact, the louder the crowd cheers for someone, the more skeptical the Sigma becomes. What did they do to deserve this level of adoration? Instead of scrolling through celebrity updates or mimicking influencers, Sigmas channel their energy inward. They are their own role models. Growth for them is an internal pursuit, not a competition for the spotlight. They ask questions like, am I better than I was yesterday? Not, how many people liked my latest post? This mindset allows them to remain grounded while the rest of the world gets caught in a digital tornado of envy and validation. Take Clint Eastwood, for example. A real-life Sigma icon. You wouldn't find him thirsting over fame or posting selfies for clout. Eastwood built his legacy on grit, not glitter. His stoic characters and real-life demeanor embodied that rare combination of strength and silence. You get the feeling he'd rather ride solo into the desert than chase attention in a room full of flashing cameras. That's the Sigma code: action over applause, values over vanity. In a culture that constantly tells you who to admire, Sigma males hit the mute button. They don't just reject idol worship, they redefine what it means to be admirable. It's not about who shouts the loudest, it's about who walks with purpose, stays true to themselves, and makes silence look powerful. While the crowd chases stars, Sigmas become the unseen force, charting their own constellations. Number 6, forced teamwork and fake collaboration. Let's talk about the glorified maze of corporate nonsense. Team-building exercises, trust falls, two truths and a lie icebreakers, group brainstorms with whiteboards and colorful sticky notes, Zoom calls where 12 people take turns rewording the same sentence while the only person who actually has a solution sits on mute, waiting for the meeting to end. These rituals are often paraded as signs of modern workplace innovation, but for Sigma males, they're just noise, organized chaos disguised as productivity. Sigmas aren't against people, they're just against pointless performance. They operate with laser focus in silence, thrive in solitude, and believe in the power of self-reliance. Give them a mission, some space, and the freedom to work their way, and they'll execute it flawlessly, without needing a team chant or a post-it war room. Where others need validation, Sigmas need clarity. Where others seek consensus, Sigmas seek results. This isn't arrogance, it's efficiency. And that's what corporations often fail to understand. The modern work culture often idolizes collaboration to the point of dysfunction. Studies in organizational psychology have shown that excessive collaboration can actually reduce productivity due to social loafing, groupthink, and time wasted in unnecessary meetings. But the system keeps reinforcing it because it likes progress. Sigmas see through that illusion. They understand that not every task requires a village. In fact, some tasks are too delicate, too focused, too creative, or too precise to survive the compromise of committee thinking. So when a Sigma rolls his eyes at the next mandatory fun event or the 10th brainstorming session for a decision that should have been made yesterday, it's not cynicism, it's wisdom. They've realized what many still refuse to accept. Too many cooks don't just spoil the broth. They burn down the kitchen, spill the ingredients, and then schedule another meeting to discuss cleanup. A Sigma would rather take the recipe, head to a quiet kitchen, and whip up a gourmet dish solo. No fluff, no fuss, just mastery in motion. They know when to work with others, but more importantly, they know when not to. In a world that rewards noise over results, the Sigma stands as a quiet rebel, proving that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to simply get the job done, alone. Number 7, living for the weekend. Here's the final absurdity. People dragging themselves out of bed on Monday, faces dull, energy low, already counting down the hours until Friday evening. It's become a cultural norm to loathe the work week and worship the weekend. Memes celebrate it, coffee mugs groan with it, and office chatter revolves around surviving until Saturday. But to a Sigma male, this is nothing short of lunacy. It's a system that makes no sense. Why would anyone willingly design a life they constantly need to escape from? Sigma males question everything, especially routines that everyone else accepts blindly. They see the traditional 9-to-5 grind not as a rite of passage, but as a trap, an endless loop of delayed gratification. Why endure 5 days of burnout just to earn 2 days of semi-freedom? This math doesn't add up to a sigma. It's like exchanging the majority of your life for brief glimpses of joy. That's not living, it's surviving. Instead, Sigma's craft lives with intention. They build careers around passions, not paychecks. They reject mindless hustle and seek meaningful productivity. Studies have shown that people with greater autonomy in their work report higher job satisfaction, reduced stress levels, and better overall well-being. Sigma males embody this principle. They don't compartmentalize their joy to weekends. They weave purpose into their everyday. Whether it's a Tuesday morning hike, a midweek creative project, or learning something new on a quiet Thursday night, every moment matters. The irony is, while most people wait for the weekend to feel alive, Sigmas are fully awake every day. Their schedule doesn't control them, they control their schedule. They've stepped off the hamster wheel and carved out a path where fulfillment isn't postponed. And here's the real kicker. They're not longing for Friday night to breathe. They already own every sunrise. Each morning is not just a beginning, it's an opportunity to move in alignment with their goals, values, and vision. While others are hitting snooze and dreading the commute, Sigmas are already ahead, mentally, spiritually, and often literally. In a world that celebrates escape, Sigmas choose engagement. They don't live for the weekend, they live with purpose. So Sigmas, here's the raw truth. This world may never make sense to you, and that's your superpower. You weren't made to fit in, you were forged to stand out. While the masses chase trends, approval, and the illusion of belonging, you instinctively move in the opposite direction. You question what others accept. You walk away when most would cling. This is not defiance for its own sake, it's clarity. A clarity that comes from seeing the world for what it is. Loud, chaotic, and often hollow. But here's the educational twist. The very traits that isolate you are the same ones that have defined history's most legendary minds. Nikola Tesla, Bruce Lee, Steve Jobs, they were all misunderstood, all intensely focused, all lone wolves who shook the world. What set them apart wasn't just their genius, it was their refusal to conform. They thrived because they leaned into their unique wiring, not despite it. In psychology, this is often associated with the concept of high self-monitoring versus low self-monitoring. Sigmas fall into the latter. They don't adjust who they are just to blend in with the environment. Instead, they bring the environment to them or move through it untouched. That's why when you walk into a room, people notice, not because you're loud, but because your silence speaks volumes. You're not seeking validation, you already know your worth. This is why embracing your difference isn't a rebellion, it's alignment. Elevating your path means choosing depth over noise, solitude over approval, and mastery over popularity. You're not here to follow the world's blueprint. You're here to draw a new one with sharp edges and unshakable resolve. So stay misunderstood. It means you're ahead of your time. Stay dangerous, not to others, but to the status quo. Stay uncommon, because average was never the goal. If that hit deep, hit that like button, subscribe, and join the pack. We're not just building a community. We're creating a silent revolution. Stay true, stay sharp, stay Sigma. Sigmas, picture this. It's a cold, rainy evening in a city that never sleeps. People scurry home, heads down, shoulders hunched, umbrellas fighting the wind. But cutting through the chaos like a silent blade is one man, hood up, hands in his pockets, calm as the storm rages around him. He isn't rushing. He isn't checking his phone. He moves like he knows exactly where he's going, even if the world doesn't. As he walks past, people glance sideways. They feel something, not quite fear, but unease mixed with curiosity, like they just brush shoulders with something untamed. That right there is the essence of a Sigma male. What most don't realize is that Sigmas don't perform, the vibe they give off, that spine-chilling aura of calm confidence, it's not manufactured. It's a natural consequence of walking a path most wouldn't dare to take. Sigma males aren't defined by social status or validation. In fact, they often reject it. They're lone wolves, not because they can't fit in, but because they've realized they don't need to. Studies in psychology even support this personality archetype. Often associated with introverted, intuitive, and thinking traits in the Myers-Briggs type indicator, they navigate life with a powerful internal compass and deep self-awareness. And here's the chilling part. They don't even notice the effect they have on others. Their silence speaks volumes. Their stare feels like an X-ray. Their presence shifts the energy in a room without them saying a word. This isn't mysticism. It's psychology, biology, and experience converging into a personality that disrupts the norm. In this video, we're going deep into 7 spine-chilling behaviors Sigma males display without even realizing it. Get ready to uncover the hidden power behind your stillness and why it leaves others both captivated and unsettled. Number 1, the soul-penetrating stare. Let's start with the eyes. The gateway to a Sigma male's mysterious world. There's something undeniably captivating about what's often called, it's not a tactic, not something pulled from a dating coach's handbook or a confidence seminar. It's raw, real, and completely unintentional. When a Sigma male makes eye contact, it's as if time hesitates. Conversations stutter, movements slow, people freeze, not out of fear, but from the sheer weight of his presence. Unlike others who blink nervously, look away too soon, or pepper their gaze with disingenuous smiles, the Sigma male holds his stare with quiet purpose. He doesn't look at you, he looks through you, and that's exactly what sends shivers down the spine. It's not a hostile gaze, nor a flirtatious one. It's investigative, analytical, calculated, yet calm. It feels like he's downloading your entire essence, your posture, your tone, your emotional state, all in the span of a heartbeat. This level of perceptive power isn't some superpower, but is often rooted in their introverted, observant nature. Psychologically, many Sigmas display high levels of emotional intelligence, even if they don't speak it out loud. They pick up on micro-expressions and nonverbal cues, allowing them to read people like open books. What makes it so eerie is that most people aren't used to being fully seen. In a world obsessed with filters and facades, most of us float through life being superficially acknowledged, nodded at, smiled at, maybe glanced at. But the Sigma gaze penetrates all that. It doesn't play along with the social performance, and because it lacks the usual pretenses, people often find themselves exposed under it, naked in a psychological sense. What's even more chilling is that the Sigma doesn't do this intentionally to assert dominance. He's not trying to intimidate. This is simply who he is. A silent observer, always tuned in, always measuring. And people can sense that, whether they feel fascinated, anxious, or drawn in, it. That intense eye contact is more than a social cue. It's a signal that says, I see you, the real you. And for many, that's the most unsettling truth of all. Number 2, disappearing without a trace. Ever heard of a ghost with a gym membership and a philosophical taste in books? That's a Sigma male. He's the type who shows up at a gathering, stands in the corner quietly sipping water, and then, without warning, he's gone. No dramatic exit, no explanation, not even a text, just a clean disappearance, like a shadow that was never fully there. While others might interpret this vanishing act as cold or aloof, it's actually something much deeper. It's self-preservation in its purest form. Sigma males are wired differently. They aren't avoiding people, they're managing their energy. In psychology, this behavior aligns closely with the concept of introverted intuition, where individuals absorb information from their environment, reflect deeply, and then retreat to process it. This kind of detachment isn't rooted in arrogance, but in the need for space to think and realign. In fact, studies in social neuroscience have shown that introverts experience more stimulation from social settings than extroverts, meaning they genuinely need more downtime to reset. But what's fascinating isn't just the leaving, it's the effect of the absence. Suddenly, the energy in the room changes. The quiet presence that once seemed inconspicuous now feels like a missing cornerstone. People start to feel the shift. Why? Because Sigma males don't demand attention, they command it passively. Their silence often serves as a grounding force, an invisible anchor that balances out the noise. This teaches a powerful lesson. Presence isn't always about volume. A person can speak softly, or not at all, and still leave a thunderous impact. It flips the script on traditional ideas of charisma. Sometimes it's the one who says the least who carries the most weight. In a society obsessed with visibility and noise, the Sigma's quiet withdrawal becomes a statement in itself. So Sigmas, don't second-guess the urge to vanish. That disappearing act isn't avoidance, it's strategy. It's how you protect your mind, maintain your mystery, and whether people admit it or not, make the biggest impression. Number 3, emotionally untouchable until they're not. You know what really unnerves people? A man who doesn't flinch. In a world addicted to overreaction, where emotions flare up like wildfire at the slightest provocation, the Sigma male stands apart like a monolith in a storm. While everyone else is panicking, ranting or spiraling, the Sigma watches, calm, stoic, unshaken. It's not because he doesn't feel anything. On the contrary, he feels deeply. But unlike most, he's mastered the ancient art of emotional restraint. That alone is intimidating. Because people can't read him, they can't predict him. And the unknown has always terrified the human psyche. This isn't about emotional suppression or robotic coldness, it's about composure. Psychologists refer to this trait as high emotional regulation, the ability to manage emotional responses in healthy, deliberate ways. For Sigma males, this isn't a tactic, it's instinctual. While most people react, Sigmas respond. That split-second difference is what sets them apart. It's like watching a tiger that chooses stillness over striking, not because it's weak, but because it's assessing the situation with lethal intelligence. And when that emotional veil finally lifts, when the Sigma allows the world to see what's beneath the surface, it's powerful. His anger doesn't explode, it slices. It's precise, cold, and calculated, more unsettling than any temper tantrum. His affection isn't casual, it's fiercely loyal and deeply protective. And his sorrow? When it appears, it carries the weight of 1,000 silences. It's not broadcast, it's embodied. People don't forget it because they rarely see anything like it. This emotional control is a modern superpower. In a chaotic world that rewards impulsivity, Sigmas are the ones who can walk into emotional storms without being swept away. And that shakes people to their core, not because they're heartless, but because they're uncommon. So if you're a Sigma male, never underestimate the power of your calm. Still, waters don't just run deep, they run dangerous. Number 4, walking alone into the fire. Whether it's launching a business with zero backup, cutting ties with a toxic group, or chasing a dream the world calls impossible, Sigma males are built to go it alone. They don't wait for applause, they don't ask for permission, and they certainly don't crave hand-holding. This isn't about being antisocial, it's about being unapologetically focused. While the average person hesitates, waits for approval, or needs a safety net, the Sigma male dives headfirst into uncertainty, trusting in his own judgment and grit. He doesn't flinch, he doesn't fold. This lone wolf behavior isn't just unusual, it's unsettling to many. Why? Because it mirrors everything most people suppress: the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of walking alone. When a Sigma walks away from the crowd and faces the fire by himself, it shines a light on everyone else's insecurities. It's not arrogance, it's clarity. He knows what he stands for, and more importantly, what he won't stand for. Psychologists often talk about intrinsic motivation, doing something because it fuels you, not because it gets you praise. That's the Sigma way. He doesn't need claps from the crowd. He's powered by purpose, anchored in independence, and armored with resilience. Studies have shown that people who are intrinsically motivated tend to have higher levels of self-control, emotional stability, and long-term success. Sigma males embody this. They don't chase trends, they chase growth. What others call isolation, the Sigma sees as strategy. His solitude isn't about sadness, it's a space where vision sharpens and strength regenerates, and without even trying, he becomes a beacon. A silent leader, someone others admire, but few can truly understand. So next time someone says you're too quiet, too different, or too distant, remember this: leaders don't blend in, they stand apart. You don't need a crowd to confirm your value. Your courage to walk alone is proof enough. Number 5, reading people like books. Sigmas have an almost eerie ability to read people, and it isn't magic. It's something far more grounded in psychology, neuroscience, and experience. Give a Sigma male just a few seconds with someone, and he can often understand more about them than most close friends or even therapists do after weeks of conversation. This uncanny insight doesn't come from guesswork or wild assumptions. It's built on a refined sensitivity to micro-expressions, vocal tone shifts, posture, eye movements, and subtle contradictions in behavior or storytelling. While most people are distracted by small talk or trying to impress, Sigmas are quietly decoding the emotional truth beneath the surface. This level of intuition often feels supernatural to those on the receiving end. It's not manipulation. Sigmas don't use this gift to control or deceive. It's empathy fused with intellect. Studies show that individuals with high emotional intelligence can detect lies, hidden emotions, and distress signals with remarkable accuracy, often by observing brief facial expressions called micro-expressions. that last only a fraction of a second. These are involuntary flashes of real emotion that most people miss, but not the Sigma. He's already seen it, filed it, and drawn a conclusion. This hyper-awareness is why Sigmas rarely ask too many questions. They already understand, and that can be deeply unsettling for others. We live in a world where most people hide behind carefully curated identities, masks built to protect vulnerabilities or manipulate perceptions. But when someone like a Sigma peels back those layers effortlessly, you don't feel seen, you feel exposed. It's not just that they know you, it's that they know the version of you you're not ready to show. That level of raw honesty is rare, and for many it's chilling. So no, it's not sorcery, it's a quiet storm of perception, intelligence, and emotional depth. And if you're not prepared for it, encountering a Sigma can feel like standing under a spotlight you didn't know was there. Number 6, speaking in calculated silence. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. It unnerves them. In social settings, they rush to fill it with chatter, awkward jokes, or meaningless small talk. Silence to them feels like something's wrong, like a gap that must be patched immediately. But Sigma males understand something deeper. Silence isn't emptiness, it's presence, it's energy, it's control. A Sigma doesn't fear the silence, hear it. When a Sigma walks into a room and says nothing, he doesn't come off as weak or timid, quite the opposite. His quiet demeanor becomes a statement. His silence speaks louder than the noise around him because it isn't random, it's intentional. It's not that he doesn't know what to say, it's that he doesn't waste his breath. He observes, calculates, and understands the power of restraint. In a world that rewards the loudest voice in the room, the Sigma flips the script by being the calmest. Psychologically speaking, silence can create a sense of dominance. Research in communication theory shows that people often interpret silence from high-status individuals as a sign of control and authority. A Sigma doesn't rely on volume to assert himself. His stillness is a force. And when he finally does speak, it's impactful. He uses words like a sniper uses bullets, carefully, strategically, and with deadly precision. That's unsettling for many. We live in a culture where talking often feels like the default mode of existence. We reward those who speak first, loudest, and longest. But the Sigma values over noise. His communication is rooted in intention, not attention. People aren't used to that. And when they encounter someone who doesn't perform socially, who isn't desperate to be heard, they start to feel unsteady. They start to wonder, that's the power of the Sigma male. He doesn't need to announce his presence, it's felt. His silence carries weight, his confidence is quiet, and his energy commands respect without saying a word. So if you're a Sigma, don't underestimate the silence you bring into a room. It's not emptiness, it's power, refined. Your silence can shake people more than 1,000 words ever could. Number 7, living by his own code. Society has its rules: fit in, play nice, follow trends. But the Sigma male, he doesn't play by the rule book. He writes his own manual, one page at a time. In a world obsessed with validation, conformity, and curated perfection, the Sigma walks a different path, often alone, but never lost. He rejects the idea that happiness comes from external approval. Instead of chasing status symbols, he finds fulfillment in freedom, purpose, and inner peace. That's why he might live minimally, avoid shallow conversations, or opt out of the rat race entirely. This isn't rebellion for rebellion's sake. It's a conscious lifestyle. According to psychological studies on autonomy and personality types, those who prioritize internal values over societal expectations report higher levels of life satisfaction and mental well-being. And that's exactly what terrifies people. Why? Because the Sigma's life is proof that you can thrive without following the crowd. He doesn't need the spotlight, the latest gadget, or a social circle buzzing with noise. His very existence challenges the cultural programming that says, more is better, or fit in to succeed. His peace looks suspicious, his confidence unnerving, his self-sufficiency downright dangerous to a system built on dependency and distraction. To the average person, the Sigma is an enigma, someone who refuses to play the game, but still wins in his own way. His rejection of toxic traditions or empty trends isn't just about non-conformity. It's about authenticity. That authenticity threatens those who are too afraid to question the rules they've blindly followed. So they call him arrogant, cold, or antisocial. But the truth? He's just free. Sigmas, your code is your compass. It may not win you popularity, but it grants you something far more powerful, self-respect. It might isolate you from the crowd, but it also liberates you from the cage. In a world trying to mold everyone into the same shape, staying true to yourself is the ultimate revolution. Keep walking that road, even if it makes others uncomfortable. That discomfort is just the sound of the system cracking. So there you have it, Sigmas, the 7 spine-chilling things you do without even realizing it. Not because you're trying to intimidate or seek attention, but because your way of life stands in stark contrast to the norm. You walk with a different rhythm, one that doesn't need a spotlight or validation to be felt. You operate with intention, live with independence, and carry a quiet power that shakes people more than any loud outburst ever could. You are the calm in a storm, the one who doesn't just survive the chaos, but the eye of it. In a world drowning in shallow distractions and performative behaviors, you bring depth, mystery, and a presence that speaks volumes without saying a word. People can't quite put their finger on it, why they feel unsettled, intrigued, or even intimidated when you enter a room. But science suggests that strong nonverbal cues like confident posture, low emotional reactivity, and purposeful silence trigger psychological responses in others. These are all traits associated with Sigma males. You're like a storm that doesn't need thunder to be dangerous. People sense it. They sense the discipline, the independence, the refusal to conform, and that energy lingers even after you've left. It's not about being better than anyone else. It's about being fully, unapologetically, and with direction. If you recognize these traits in yourself, don't shy away from them. Lean in, cultivate them, and if you're working toward them, keep pushing. This world doesn't need more distractions. It needs more men willing to walk their own path with quiet strength and clarity. Like the video, hit subscribe and join our community of high-value men on a mission. Share this with a fellow Sigma who might need the reminder, and drop a comment below if something resonated with you. Stay sharp, stay grounded, stay Sigma. She tested his patience one too many times, now the mask is off. What happens when a Sigma male, known for his calm and quiet demeanor, decides he's done playing nice? When a Sigma stops tolerating nonsense, the world finally sees the storm he's been hiding in silence. Sigmas, welcome. Today's topic is, when a Sigma male is done playing nice, here's what happens. Let's break this down. Sigma males are often misunderstood. They're not aloof because they lack emotion. They're observant, calculating, and intentional. According to psychologist John A. Johnson, introverted yet confident personalities tend to be more emotionally intelligent and self-regulated. This is the essence of the Sigma. A Sigma's tolerance isn't a sign of weakness, it's strategy. He picks his battles, avoids unnecessary drama, and lives by his own code. But once that code is violated too many times, whether through manipulation, disrespect, or betrayal, he shifts gears. And no, it's not some theatrical meltdown, it's subtle but surgical. The Sigma detaches, he stops engaging, he doesn't shout, he exits. This silence speaks louder than words. That's when people feel the weight of his absence. This transformation is often mistaken for coldness. In reality, it's power. When a Sigma stops being nice, he starts being real, asserting boundaries, saying no without guilt, and walking away without looking back. It's not revenge, it's recalibration. And the ripple effect, massive. People who took his patience for granted suddenly scramble for his attention. Toxic individuals are cut off. His energy gets redirected toward personal growth, financial goals, and mastery. This isn't about ego, it's about reclaiming peace. So if you've pushed a Sigma too far, don't expect a warning shot. Expect silence. And that silence is where his power lives. He doesn't need to prove himself to anyone. He simply disappears and levels up. Point 1, the silent build-up. When most people get disrespected, they bark. They raise their voices, clap back, argue, or storm out. It's an emotional reaction, a primal defense against perceived threat, but not Sigma males. When Sigmas get disrespected, they don't bark, they watch, and they wait. You see, the Sigma male operates on a different wavelength. He's not interested in winning petty arguments or putting on a performance to show dominance. Instead, his reaction is internal and strategic. He observes behavior, registers inconsistencies, and silently recalibrates how he engages with you. This isn't passivity, it's power under control. Psychologically speaking, Sigma males embody traits of high emotional intelligence and restraint. According to a 2009 study published in Individuals with high emotional self-regulation tend to perform better in social conflict resolution, not by confrontation, but by managing their own impulses and gathering information. That's what Sigmas do. They don't need the last word. They want the response at the right time. In fact, their silence is often mistaken for weakness. People assume that if someone doesn't fight back immediately, they're submissive or afraid, but Sigmas don't care about your assumptions. What you're actually witnessing is their testing phase. They're analyzing. Was that disrespect a slip-up or a pattern? Was it rooted in insecurity, or is it a sign of disloyalty? While others are busy yelling, the Sigma is taking notes. And then comes the twist. You never know what chapter of their story you're in until they shut the book. That's when the Sigma disappears, disconnects, or redefines the entire dynamic. No drama, no speeches, just silence and absence. And by the time you realize what happened, it's already too late. What makes this response so effective? It's the embodiment of the principle, don't tell them them. Sigmas withdraw their energy and access, two things people often don't realize they relied on until it's gone. This approach mirrors Stoic teachings from philosophers like Epictetus, who said it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That's a Sigma's secret, calculated restraint. So the next time a Sigma gets disrespected and doesn't respond, don't assume it's because he didn't notice. He noticed. He just doesn't need to make noise, because while others are still shouting on the surface, the Sigma is preparing a move beneath it all, quietly, purposefully, and with full awareness of the cost and outcome. It's not weakness, it's war, played in silence. Point 2, the cold withdrawal. Here's the twist. When a Sigma male is done, there's no warning, no grand speech, no dramatic exit, just silence. And that's exactly what makes it so unnerving. Most people need closure. They argue, they beg, they fire off long texts, hoping to be heard. But a Sigma male, he vanishes without a ripple. One minute you're in his world, the next it's like you never existed. No drama, no confrontation, just gone. This isn't avoidance, it's resolution. Sigma males are emotionally detached once they reach their threshold. They don't erupt in rage or chase explanations. Why? Because long before you ever noticed something was wrong, they already did their internal audit. Quietly, logically, weeks or months in advance. By the time they walk away, the emotional processing is complete. What you're witnessing isn't a reaction, it's execution. That's why it stings. It's not messy, it's clean. It doesn't feed your ego with a final fight or give you the satisfaction of closure. And that's where Sigma males gain the upper hand. When someone storms off in anger, they still want you to chase. But when someone disappears in silence, that's when you know they've truly let go. Psychologists call this silent boundary enforcement. It's a self-protective behavior seen in highly independent and introverted individuals, those who prefer peace over chaos. Studies on conflict resolution confirm this. People who score high on self-reliance and introversion are more likely to walk away from conflict instead of engaging in it. It's not passive-aggressive, it's deliberate and final. Sigma males don't ghost out of fear, they disengage when something violates their values or peace. And the wild part, they don't seek closure from anyone but themselves. They don't need apologies or understanding to move on. They just decide. Their silence becomes a mirror, forcing others to confront what they've done, not because they're told to, but because the sudden absence is deafening. That's the Sigma power. When they close the book, they never reopen it. Point 3, the shift in energy. Sigmas don't chase, they replace. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. Sigma males are wired differently. When something or someone disrupts their peace, they don't explode. They evolve. The moment a Sigma stops playing nice, it's like a switch flips. Instead of wasting energy on explaining themselves, proving their worth, or begging for basic respect, they go silent. But don't mistake that silence for weakness. It's the sound of a storm forming beneath the surface. Sigmas redirect their energy inward. They level up, whether it's hitting the gym, starting a new business, mastering a skill, or diving into solitude and reflection. They begin to rebuild from the inside out. Psychology calls this the ability to respond to stress, not with breakdown, but with growth. While others post online to prove a point, the Sigma disappears from the noise. Behind the scenes, he's grinding, quietly, consistently, strategically, and here's where the shift happens. Ex-friends start to feel the void, that calm, grounded presence they once took for granted, gone. And in its place, a gnawing realization they underestimated him. Toxic people feel exposed. Why? Because without the Sigma's energy to manipulate or guilt trip, their games no longer work. The spotlight turns inward, revealing their own dysfunction. Meanwhile, the Sigma doesn't feel anger, regret, or revenge. He feels focus. Neuroscience supports this too. When someone is highly self-regulated and goal-oriented, their prefrontal cortex activates more intensely, heightening discipline and decision-making. And here's the kicker. That quiet intensity, it becomes magnetic. Without chasing anyone, the Sigma starts attracting everything. People notice his absence, and more importantly, his glow-up. What once seemed like detachment is now clearly strength. What seemed passive is now power in motion. This is the Sigma blueprint. Don't chase, don't beg, just rise and replace. Because when a Sigma male is done playing nice, the world doesn't just miss him, it watches him ascend. Point 4, the domino effect on others. When a Sigma stops playing nice, it doesn't just cause ripples, it sends shockwaves through the emotional ecosystem of everyone who once underestimated him. You see, Sigma males operate differently. They're not driven by a need for approval, validation, or applause. They move quietly, observe intently, and act only when necessary. But when that calm presence suddenly goes cold, it flips the psychological script for those around them. People start overthinking, second-guessing every moment. Was I the problem? Why did he cut me off? Why isn't he reacting? This isn't just drama, it's cognitive dissonance. Psychologically, humans are wired to seek closure. When we don't get a reaction from someone we expect to engage, our brains go into overdrive trying to solve the silence. It's called the Zeigarnik effect, a phenomenon where people remember uncompleted or interrupted interactions more vividly than completed ones. So when a Sigma walks away without fanfare, it triggers emotional turmoil in those who never expected consequences. And the most unsettling part, the Sigma doesn't explain, he doesn't lash out, he doesn't beg, plead, or even clarify. His silence, it's a mirror, a confrontation not with him, but with oneself. His absence becomes louder than most people's presence. Why? Because we tend to undervalue quiet strength until it's gone. Most people are used to noise, attention-seeking, emotional outbursts. But when someone who used to listen, tolerate, and show restraint suddenly withdraws that energy, the emotional vacuum becomes undeniable. It's like removing the anchor from a ship. It starts drifting, lost and directionless. And here's the kicker. Sigmas don't withdraw to punish others. They do it to protect their peace. When respect is lost, tolerance has limits. When boundaries are crossed, the Sigma doesn't escalate. He evaporates. This is where power lies. Not in loud confrontation, but in silent transformation. So when a Sigma male stops playing nice, it's not revenge, it's a reset. He's reminding everyone that his calm demeanor was a choice, not a weakness. And now that the mask is off, the emotional economy collapses for those who thought they'd never have to pay for their actions. Because the Sigma's silence, it says everything they refused to hear when he was still speaking. Point 5, the birth of a new era. Here's the beautiful part. When a Sigma walks away from nonsense, he's not just making an exit, he's making an upgrade. See, most people think walking away is a sign of weakness or avoidance, but for the Sigma male, it's the complete opposite. It's a conscious decision to evolve. When he cuts ties with people, it's never impulsive or emotional. He's not ghosting for the sake of drama. He's pruning his environment. And what he's really cutting off, old patterns, toxic habits, and self-imposed limitations that no longer serve him. This isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. Clarity becomes the Sigma's new compass. It directs him away from distractions and toward direction. Science even backs this idea. Studies in behavioral psychology show that removing negative influences from your life can significantly boost focus, self-control, and emotional resilience. And that's exactly what the Sigma is after. He begins redirecting his energy toward higher pursuits, physical health, mental discipline, and long-term goals. He's not lounging in the silence, he's working in it. Gym sessions replace gossip. Early mornings replace late-night regrets, books replace arguments, and with every passing day he sharpens his tools, his intellect, his emotional control, his instincts. He upgrades his environment, mindset, and mission. This rebirth is quiet, but it's revolutionary. Think of it like a software update. The outer appearance doesn't change much, but inside he's faster, smarter, more resilient. He no longer bends for approval. He no longer negotiates his value. He no longer explains his peace. In psychology, This kind of transformation is known as a radical self-realignment, a powerful shift where an individual rewires their habits and identity to align with their highest potential. And that's what the Sigma male does when he walks away from nonsense. He evolves. He levels up. He becomes a man of intention, no longer shaped by the world around him, but by the clarity within him. Point 6, the unapologetic standards. When Sigmas stop playing nice, they don't make a loud announcement. They don't throw a tantrum. They simply, quietly, powerfully, and with intention. What does that mean? It means they start enforcing standards without saying a single word. No debates, no justifications, no emotional outbursts. They stop laughing at jokes they don't find funny. They stop showing up for people who don't show up for them. They stop responding to texts that feel forced, superficial, or manipulative. It's not anger, it's alignment. You see, Sigma males operate on an internal code. They're introspective, self-aware, and deeply observant. Psychology calls this trait high self-monitoring, the ability to read social cues without being controlled by them. When Sigmas decide they're done entertaining flaky people, fake intentions, or empty conversations, they don't burn bridges. They just stop building them. And this scares people. Why? Because most people are used to boundaries being loud, dramatic, and followed by explanations. But Sigma boundaries are different. They're invisible walls, firm, quiet, and absolute. No, hey, I don't like that. No, here's why I'm distancing myself. Just silence, detachment, distance. And that silence is deafening. Studies in behavioral psychology show that unpredictability and lack of closure can cause more anxiety than open conflict. When someone suddenly stops responding or pulls back without a word, it creates confusion. People don't know whether they've been judged, ignored, or outgrown. And for many, that uncertainty is unbearable. But for a Sigma, it's not about punishing others. It's about protecting peace. He aligns with his values, and if someone doesn't fit that frequency, he quietly exits. No drama, no guilt, just growth. This is why Sigmas are often misunderstood. Their silence is mistaken for arrogance. Their absence is mistaken for coldness, but in reality they're simply focused on truth, authenticity, and energy that feels right. So when a Sigma stops playing nice, don't look for signs of rage. Look for signs of resolve. He's not lashing out, he's leveling up. And the world, especially the people who used to take his kindness for granted, can feel the shift, even if they can't explain it. That's the Sigma way. Quiet, calculated, unapologetically real. Point 7, the untouchable mindset. When a Sigma male is done playing nice, something profound happens. He becomes untouchable. Not in the sense of arrogance or superiority, but in a way that reflects deep clarity and emotional mastery. This transformation is rooted in psychology, stoicism, and lived experience. Let's break it down. First, understand that Sigma males are lone wolves, independent thinkers who don't crave social approval, but even they can be pushed too far. When that threshold is crossed, a mental switch flips. The Sigma detaches, not out of bitterness, but out of necessity. He's done explaining himself, done tolerating manipulation, done entertaining emotional chaos. Manipulation tactics, whether it's gaslighting, guilt-tripping, or passive aggressiveness, lose their power over him. Why? Because he no longer reacts. Reaction is fuel for manipulation, and he's pulled the plug. This is supported by the concept of emotional detachment in psychology, a skill often taught in therapy to help individuals maintain boundaries and reduce emotional burnout. The Sigma embodies this skill naturally. Guilt trips, denied. He doesn't let others weaponize his empathy anymore. Instead of feeling guilty for choosing peace, he sees it as self-respect. That shift may unsettle those who once relied on his people-pleasing nature, but it's a necessary evolution. Validation seeking becomes irrelevant. He no longer needs applause or external approval to feel worthy. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization sits at the top. This is where the Sigma now operates. His sense of identity is internal, not defined by others. And perhaps the most important shift, he's now mission-driven. Everything he does is intentional, whether it's building a business, improving himself, or simply enjoying solitude. He's laser-focused. He's not avoiding emotions, he's just prioritizing purpose. This detachment makes him powerful and a bit unsettling. People sense the change. The once agreeable Sigma is now cool, measured, and unshakable. He's no longer a safety net for others' dysfunction. He's not cruel, just clear. And clarity, that's scary for those who can't control it. So when a Sigma male is done playing nice, it's not a declaration of war, it's a quiet revolution. He didn't become heartless, he became free. Point 8. The world finally takes notice. When a Sigma male is done playing nice, something profound happens. He becomes untouchable. Not in the sense of arrogance or superiority, but in a way that reflects deep clarity and emotional mastery. This transformation is rooted in psychology, stoicism, and lived experience. Let's break it down. First, understand that Sigma males are lone wolves, independent thinkers who don't crave social approval, but even they can be pushed too far. When that threshold is crossed, a mental switch flips. The Sigma detaches, not out of bitterness, but out of necessity. He's done explaining himself, done tolerating manipulation, done entertaining emotional chaos. Manipulation tactics, whether it's gaslighting, guilt-tripping, or passive aggressiveness, lose their power over him. Why? Because he no longer reacts. Reaction is fuel for manipulation, and he's pulled the plug. This is supported by the concept of emotional detachment in psychology, a skill often taught in therapy to help individuals maintain boundaries and reduce emotional burnout. The Sigma embodies this skill naturally. Guilt trips? Denied. He doesn't let others weaponize his empathy anymore. Instead of feeling guilty for choosing peace, he sees it as self-respect. That shift may unsettle those who once relied on his people-pleasing nature, but it's a necessary evolution. Validation-seeking becomes irrelevant. He no longer needs applause or external approval to feel worthy. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization sits at the top. This is where the Sigma now operates. His sense of identity is internal, not defined by others. And perhaps the most important shift, he's now mission-driven. Everything he does is intentional. Whether it's building a business, improving himself, or simply enjoying solitude, he's laser-focused. He's not avoiding emotions, he's just prioritizing purpose. This detachment makes him powerful and a bit unsettling. People sense the change. The once agreeable Sigma is now cool, measured, and unshakable. He's no longer a safety net for others' dysfunction. He's not cruel, just clear. And clarity, that's scary for those who can't control it. So when a Sigma male is done playing nice, it's not a declaration of war, it's a quiet revolution. He didn't become heartless. He became free. Being nice is a choice, but so is walking away. And when a Sigma finally chooses to protect his peace over pleasing others, he unlocks a level of power most people never touch. So if you're a Sigma watching this, stop apologizing for evolving. Stop explaining your silence. Stop watering down your worth. Your power lies in your discipline, your detachment, and your decision to never settle. Because when you're done playing nice, you start playing real. And that's when everything changes. Sigmas, this is your reminder to own your journey. If this video spoke to your soul, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to join a community of thinkers, lone wolves, and leaders who don't just exist, they impact. Apply these Sigma traits to your life and watch the world adjust to your new frequency. Stay true and stay Sigma. Greetings, Sigmas. Let me open with a real story, one that doesn't just reveal the Sigma mindset, it defines it. Deep in the icy wilderness of the Russian Far East, where survival favors the ruthless, lived a man named Vladimir Markov, a poacher, a hunter, a man who made one fatal mistake. He shot a Siberian tiger. Wounded, the tiger disappeared into the shadows. Most would think the story ended there, but Sigma creatures don't forget, and they forgive lightly. Over the next 48 hours, this tiger didn't run, didn't hide. It tracked Markov silently, strategically. Not out of panic, but out of purpose. It waited outside his cabin. It destroyed anything with Markov's scent. It studied his patterns, and when the moment was right, it struck. Markov never stood a chance, not against a creature so calm, so calculating, so quietly lethal. Now pause. Imagine a man with that same presence, that same silence before the storm. That's a Sigma. Sigma males are not just different, they are. They don't yell, they don't chase, but when you cross the line, they won't just react. They'll outweight you, and outmaneuver you. So if you think Sigmas are to be underestimated, think again, because once you ignite their fury, they don't just fight back, they finish the game. This video is not for the faint of heart. These are 7 chilling things Sigma males do when they finally lose their cool. Subscribe if you're ready to understand the silent power behind the lone wolf. Let's dive in. Number 1, the cold shutdown. When a Sigma gets mad, he doesn't throw fists, he throws silence. Let's break this down, not just dramatically, but psychologically and factually. When a Sigma male reaches his breaking point, you won't see fireworks. You'll hear nothing, no slamming doors, no raging texts. Just silence, deafening, intentional and permanent. The first dangerous thing he does? He shuts down completely. No more messages, no return calls, no explanations. He vanishes like smoke in the wind. Now, this isn't the same as emotional immaturity or running from problems, quite the opposite. Sigmas are known for their and. According to psychologist Daniel Goleman's framework of emotional intelligence, those who exhibit strong self-regulation, like Sigmas, tend to avoid impulsive actions. So when a Sigma cuts you off, it's not impulsive. It's the result of deep, quiet deliberation. This shutdown behavior isn't random. It's rooted in self-preservation. Sigmas value their peace more than attention, and when someone crosses a line repeatedly, they don't feel the need to argue. Not because they're weak, but because they're done giving access to those who misuse it. To outsiders, this might look like. But to a Sigma, it's a calculated disengagement, a silent message that says, "You no longer qualify for my time." Unlike alphas, who may confront with aggression, or betas, who might seek resolution through appeasement, the Sigma's weapon is indifference. That's why it's so unsettling. He doesn't yell. He deletes, quietly, cleanly, and he doesn't second-guess it. Here's the scary part. While some people cool off and reconnect after a heated moment, Sigma males aren't interested in half-hearted apologies or guilt trips. Once he's emotionally checked out, the door is locked and welded shut. In a world that glorifies constant communication and emotional oversharing, the Sigma's cold silence is both powerful and terrifying. It teaches a hard lesson. Not everyone argues when they're hurt. Some just leave. And that silence is their loudest message. So if a Sigma disappears from your life, don't assume he's being dramatic. Understand, he tolerated more than he ever said, and now he's gone, forever. Number 2. He turns his back with zero guilt. When a Sigma male walks away, it's not a dramatic exit filled with yelling or broken plates. It's quiet, clean, final. And that's what makes it so powerful and dangerous. Unlike most people, Sigma males don't beg for closure. They're the closure. Let's unpack this. Sigma males are lone wolves by nature. They thrive on independence, emotional self-reliance, and mental clarity. According to psychologist Carl Jung's personality archetypes, Sigma types fall somewhere outside the traditional alpha and beta hierarchy. They operate by their own internal compass, which means they're not easily manipulated or emotionally entangled. So when they sense toxicity, be it lies, manipulation, disrespect, or betrayal, they don't try to fix it. They observe, they measure, they test you. And once they confirm a pattern, they quietly begin detaching. Here's the dangerous part. Sigmas don't cling to the of someone. They value reality over fantasy. So once someone crosses a line too many times, the Sigma male hits a switch, and he's emotionally done. Cold, maybe, but it's not impulsive, it's calculated. Most people will seek closure through texts, arguments, or long emotional explanations, but not Sigmas. They've already closed the door before they walk away. They don't burn bridges out of anger, they do it out of necessity. This is principle, not pettiness. And no, it's not because they don't feel, it's because they gave you signals, grace, and second chances. You mistook their silence for weakness, but silence was the warning. When a Sigma is silent, he's processing, deciding, planning, then he disappears, not to punish, but to protect. This behavior is rooted in psychological resilience. Research shows that emotionally intelligent people, like Sigmas, know when a connection is harming their peace. Instead of spiraling, they reset. Instead of lashing out, they retreat, and don't expect them to come back. Sigmas don't look back, because looking back is for people who still care, who still hope. A Sigma's hope ends the moment he sees you value chaos more than connection. So if you ever find yourself wondering why he ghosted you, remember, it wasn't random. It was the final act in a play you didn't realize you were starring in. Sigmas don't crave revenge, they crave peace. And once their peace is threatened, they don't explain, they exit quietly, permanently. Number 3, he channels his anger into success. Here's the twist. Sigmas don't explode, they evolve. You see, the Sigma male operates on a different frequency. He doesn't blow up, scream, or seek petty revenge. That's not his style. When he's hurt, betrayed, or angered, he doesn't reach for retaliation, he reaches for transformation. Psychologically speaking, this response is rooted in something called the ability to convert intense emotions into focused energy. Sigmas have mastered this. Instead of lashing out, they level up. When angry, a Sigma doesn't pick fights. He picks up momentum. He channels that emotional energy into something productive. Studies show that people who practice self-regulation under stress, like Sigmas often do, experience better long-term mental health and goal achievement. So instead of wallowing, he rises. He hits the gym harder, not to show off, but to sharpen his discipline. He stacks his money, because financial independence is power. He builds skills, networks silently, and upgrades every aspect of his life while the world wonders what he's plotting. That girl who cheated, she becomes the reason he sets higher standards. That friend who lied? A lesson in boundaries and self-worth. The Sigma's revenge isn't loud, it's visible, and oh, is it powerful. He doesn't send angry texts or make dramatic exits, he just vanishes and reappears later, elevated. His silence echoes louder than any outburst. It says one thing: this is classic Sigma energy, rooted in stoicism, discipline, and delayed gratification. He knows success is the best response, not for the applause, not to prove a point, but to fulfill his own vision. So while others are fueled by conflict, Sigmas are fueled by growth. He doesn't lose sleep plotting revenge. He sleeps soundly knowing he's evolving into a version of himself that outgrows the pain. And that right there is what makes him lethal, not his rage, but his rise. Number 4, he unloads the truth without a filter. Sigmas usually keep their observations to themselves. They're the silent analysts in the room, the ones who don't react immediately but take note of everything, every glance, every contradiction, every hidden motive. While others are busy talking, Sigmas are watching, calculating, studying the patterns behind human behavior like a mental chess game. But what happens when a Sigma male finally gets angry? He lets the truth fly. And it doesn't come out as rage or chaos. No shouting, no name-calling. What comes out is far more brutal. Facts, cold, hard truth, delivered with calm precision. Because by the time a Sigma reaches his breaking point, he's already gathered the evidence. And when he speaks, he doesn't just react, he exposes every fake smile you gave, every backhanded compliment, every attempt at manipulation you thought went unnoticed, laid bare like a forensic report. And that's the scary part. You see, the Sigma male's brain is wired for deep observation. Psychologists refer to this as high cognitive empathy, the ability to read social dynamics without being emotionally entangled. It's not emotional outburst. It's emotional detachment paired with intellectual clarity. That's why when he finally talks, it hits different, it cuts, because it's not just his truth, it's truth, and people aren't ready for that. They're ready for yelling, they're used to drama, but they're not prepared for someone calmly dismantling their entire facade with surgical detail. No fluff, no emotion, just exposure. That's why Sigmas are dangerous when provoked. Not because they're violent, but because they're in a world built on appearances. A Sigma's silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. And when he finally speaks, people suddenly realize just how powerful and terrifying truth can be. So next time you think a Sigma isn't paying attention, think again, he's just collecting receipts. And when the time is right, he won't burn the bridge, he'll light it with facts. Number 5, he plans his exit years in advance. Here's the freaky part. If you've wronged a Sigma male, he's not going to explode in your face. There won't be yelling, no messy drama, no back and forth arguments. In fact, he might even smile. He'll nod, say, it's all good, and carry on like nothing happened. But don't be fooled. That silence, that's the quiet before the storm. You see, Sigma males are wired differently. They're strategic, emotionally disciplined, and deeply introspective. So when they get hurt or betrayed, their first instinct isn't to lash out. It's to retreat and analyze. They'll wait, they'll observe, they'll take mental notes, catalog every detail, and calmly design their next move like a grandmaster in a chess match. While you're thinking everything is back to normal, he's already 2 steps ahead, silently building his exit plan, and then one day, without warning, he vanishes, gone from the job, gone from the relationship, gone from the group chat. No goodbyes, no closure, no explanation, just silence. Like a shadow in the night, he disappears. And he leaves no trail, no digital breadcrumbs, nothing to follow. People who've crossed him are left stunned. What happened? Why did he just cut me off? But by then it's too late. This calculated disappearing act isn't just some random behavior, it's rooted in psychology. It's a classic example of the Sigma males. Instead of investing energy in conflict, they invest it in planning their freedom. It's efficiency over emotion. Even in nature, we see parallels. Wolves, known for their sigma-like traits, rarely retaliate instantly. They back off, assess the situation, and then strike or slip away when it suits them, not when others expect it. So if a sigma male walks away from you without warning, chances are he already walked away from you emotionally weeks or months ago. You just didn't see the signs, and that's what makes them so unsettling, so unpredictable. Lesson here: never mistake a sigma's silence for submission. He might be quiet, but trust me, he's not passive. He's just patient, and patience is the scariest weapon in a sigma's arsenal. By the time you realize he's gone, he's already thriving somewhere else, and you're just part of the past he planned to escape from. Number 6, he sets a new standard that excludes you. When a sigma male gets mad, he doesn't throw tantrums. He doesn't scream, shout, or make a scene. His fury isn't loud, it's transformative. See, most people express anger outwardly. They want others to feel their rage. But a sigma, he takes that fire and forges a new version of himself. Anger becomes his architect. When he's hurt, betrayed, or disrespected, he doesn't waste time plotting revenge. He reinvents his boundaries. And here's the kicker: he builds a life so upgraded, so elevated, so full of purpose and clarity that the very people who once mistreated him no longer qualify to exist within it. This isn't just emotional survival, it's strategic evolution. Psychologically speaking, sigma males fall into the introverted alpha category. They rank high in self-awareness, autonomy, and emotional intelligence. So when they're pushed to their limit, they don't spiral, they recalibrate. Boundaries are tightened, standards are raised. Their circle, it shrinks, not from bitterness, but from alignment. They start to surround themselves with people who mirror their growth, not their past wounds. And the ones who cross them, replaced. Not with spite, but with silence, peace, focus, purpose. Think about it. Most people fight back to prove a point. A sigma male doesn't need to prove anything. He the point. His success, his discipline, his transformation, that's the response. That's the ultimate flex. It's no wonder psychologists describe boundary reinforcement as a sign of emotional maturity. In one study from the University of California, it was shown that individuals who restructure their social environments after emotional pain often experience greater resilience, personal development, and long-term satisfaction. That's what sigma males do instinctively. Instead of reacting emotionally, they redirect energy into upgrading their mindset, health, wealth, and vision. It's not about erasing the past. It's about evolving beyond it. They hit the gym harder, they meditate longer, they read, build, create, and elevate until the old version of themselves is unrecognizable. Their anger becomes a quiet teacher, not a chaotic destroyer. So if you've ever wondered what happens when a sigma finally snaps, don't expect fireworks. Expect silence. Expect changes so sharp, so intentional that his presence feels like a different frequency. One that doesn't tolerate nonsense. One that demands excellence. Because for the sigma male, it's not about revenge. It's about evolution. He doesn't seek to bring others down. He rises so high that they can't reach him anymore. That's the sigma way. Number 7, he disappears, then returns unrecognizable. The final form of sigma rage isn't destruction, it's rebirth. When most people get angry, they lash out, they argue, they post cryptic quotes on social media. But not the sigma male. His reaction is different, dangerously different. He disappears, no dramatic exits, no emotional outbursts, just silence, complete radio silence. He stops answering texts, stops showing up, no updates, no stories, no status posts. He doesn't need to announce a thing because sigma rage doesn't crave attention, it craves evolution. You see, sigma males process betrayal and frustration with surgical precision. While others spiral into chaos, sigmas go inward. This is a man who doesn't waste energy trying to prove a point in the moment. He steps back, assesses the damage, and uses the pain as fuel. Months pass. People start to wonder, where did he go? They might assume he's struggling, but what they don't realize is he's been in the lab, not a physical one, but a mental, spiritual, and emotional gym. He's been breaking himself down, examining his weaknesses, and rebuilding brick by brick. And then one day, he returns. No warning, no reintroduction, just presence. But he's not the man you remember, he's richer. Not just financially, though that's often part of it, but mentally and emotionally. he's stronger. His boundaries are solid, his mission is clearer, his energy is untouchable. And most striking of all, he's colder, not bitter, just detached. Detached from the old versions of himself that used to settle, that used to explain, that used to beg for understanding. That version no longer exists. And here's the part that stings. He didn't come back for revenge. He didn't come back to flex. He came back because he no longer fits where he was. What was meant to break him ended up forging him. The storm you brought, it didn't drown him, it baptized him. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth, a phenomenon where individuals come out of adversity not only healed, but enhanced. Stronger relationships, a deeper sense of purpose, personal strength, all markers of someone who used hardship as a catalyst for greatness. This is the Sigma's secret weapon. His silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. His absence isn't retreat, it's preparation. And when he reemerges, he's not seeking validation, validation. You can't reach him anymore. Not because he blocked you, but because he outgrew you. The version of himself that tolerated poor treatment, lowered his standards, or doubted his worth. That version died, and in its place rose a Sigma who's sharper in mind, clearer in purpose, and colder to the nonsense he used to entertain. This is Sigma rage at its most powerful form, not loud, not violent, but transformative. So if a Sigma male disappears, don't assume he's gone. Understand he's becoming. And when he returns, you won't even recognize the man who walked away. Because the final form of Sigma rage was never about destruction. It was always about rebirth. Sigma's anger isn't always loud, sometimes it's strategic, and that's exactly what separates you from the rest. In a world that celebrates dramatic outbursts and attention-seeking tantrums, Sigma males choose a different path, one built on control, redirection, and inner mastery. Psychology calls this the process of converting intense emotional energy like anger into productive action. Studies from the American Psychological Association show that people who regulate their anger effectively tend to experience enhanced concentration, improved memory, and stronger problem-solving skills. Translation: anger, when harnessed, becomes a superpower. Sigmas don't rage for show. They don't flip tables or shout in traffic. Instead, they take that boiling emotion and forge it into something useful. A better business plan, a new boundary, a sharper physique. That insult you threw at a Sigma, he used it to fuel his next level up. Let's look at Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes ever and a true Sigma at heart. When he was cut from his high school basketball team, he didn't complain, he didn't spiral. He trained like a machine day and night and turned rejection into domination. That wasn't just determination, that was refined, focused, Sigma-level rage. So if you're simmering right now, good, that heat has a purpose. Channel it, write down your mission, hit the gym, start that project, don't explode, evolve. Because the world doesn't need another man who loses control. It needs a Sigma who, and lets it light the path forward. If this message reminds you of who you are or who you're becoming, hit that like button, subscribe, and join this tribe of focused minds. Wolves walk alone, but they don't walk aimlessly. Stay sharp, stay disciplined, stay Sigma.